So, greeting once more, dear chess friends from Goa, India, where the local time is 3:12 p.m. The temperature is a typical 92 degrees for November. Goa has 3 different seasons, Jesse. Although it was not clear to me from the description why it's not 2 different seasons, but there's the monsoon season, which is June through September. There's the post-monsoon season, which is what we're in now, which is October through January or so. And then there's the pre-monsoon season, which is February through May. Now, I'm not sure what the difference is between the post-monsoon and the pre-monsoon, right? Because, well, the monsoon season is when they get over 90% of their rain within 3 months. All year long, the temperatures are hot, with very minimal variation. For example, the average temperature or the average highs this month would be 31.8 Celsius, or 92-ish Fahrenheit. And in May, it's 32.0 Celsius, which is, a 0.2 degree difference. So I'm not sure exactly exactly what the difference is between the pre-monsoon and the post-monsoon. The only thing that really stood out was that during the monsoon, it is wet, and the temperatures go down by about 2 degrees Celsius or 4 degrees Fahrenheit for a couple months. But in general, 90 degrees is just normal temperature year-round here in Goa.
So does it go above 100 a lot?
It can. It can go up to 45 degrees Celsius, I think, is the maximum, which would be 113, 112, 113.
I'm imagining the humidity might just be, oh, buddy. Oh, buddy, I bet it can get really bad.
Yeah, the humidity is generally also in the 90s. But we have 8 players who have made it through the temperature, the humidity. I'm going to update these scores here for a moment, folks, to show you the winners in every single match so far. Actually, I don't know exactly how many points Grebnev scored, but I know that he was eventually the winner. So let's just review this before I show the new matchups for today, folks. So this is the round of 16 that concluded yesterday. And then we'll be getting into today's games in a second. Today we've got 8 players left in the quarterfinals. 8 players, 3 candidate spots to go around. It's getting very close. So in regulation, we had Sindarov beat Frederick Svane, who had a great run, taking out Gukesh. Or a terrible run if you had Gukesh in your bracket, as I did. So congrats to Svane on a good run, but Javalkir Sindarov took him down in classical chess. Also, Aronian, the last player who'd ever been in a candidates tournament, he was taken out by Arjun Erigaisi in a fantastic game that we watched live, Jesse and I, and probably most of you. And Jesse, I reviewed the annotations of the Erigaisi game. I haven't computer jammed my way through the whole game, but I reviewed the annotations of that game, and it looked like Erigaisi was fine the whole time, according to a grandmaster who had probably checked the computer before publishing his annotations.
Right.
And so we'd wondered at various points, was Aronian a little bit better with his bishop pair, or was there enough compensation either through kingside threats or the isolated d4 pawn? And this grandmaster and his engine thought that black was fine the whole time. Moves are starting to come in, so I will hurry myself up. We had Wei Yi winning in regulation against Sam Sevian, the third American playing that round, along with Aronian. They were exited. And we had Yakuboyev winning his match in regulation against Gabriel Sargsyan. Then yesterday we went to tiebreaks. And Jesse, what can you tell us about Dubov versus Shanklin from yesterday?
Oh, it was a great match, bro. Oh, it was a great match. Sam played amazing in the tie breaks. Um, yeah, I mean, we'll probably hit on it again as well. But just the first thought that came to my mind is that because Dubov pissed off the Indians,
Mm-hmm.
like Sam has become a fan favorite in India.
Nice, nice, nice.
So that was a whole interesting drama. Also, it was really cool because, Dubov basically the strategy that seems unsportsmanlike, but also just seems wrong to me. It seems like statistically it's not going to do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So other winners in tiebreak were Yaspam taking out Hari Krishna. Um, so my score here is maybe slightly wrong. I don't know. But anyway, Yaspam did beat Hari Krishna in the end. So there went one of the remaining Indians. Grebnev lost to Esipenko in a battle of Russians. So there went the second to last junior in Alexei Grebnev. But he had a great run. Very promising member of Jesse's junior team and just in general. A very promising player, another potential super GM for folks to keep their eyes on. And then Donchenko, who should have won his match in regulation against Lei Kwang Liam. I don't know if you've ever seen that Rook endgame, Jesse, but it was an absolute horror show. Terrible,
Hmm.
terrible, terrible butcher job of that endgame. But he made up for it eventually and won a tiebreak against Lei Kwang Liam, knocking out another favorite. So Donchenko's taking out Lei Kwang Liam, Anish Giri, Matthias Blübaum, and he's maybe got the most upsets of anybody left. And I mean that further just destroys any chance of having really top rated players as the candidates from this tournament. The last two high rated players are Wei Yi and Eric Geisy. They're playing each other today. So I'm going to delete my scores here, folks, and put today's matches up. So we've got Shanky with white against Esipenko. We've got Eric Geisy. I think he's got black today. We'll try it like this and fix it if I'm wrong. Eric Geisy, Sindarov, and Yakuboyev are not playing each other. Two Uzbeks. So one of them should have Donchenko. I'm not sure who. Maybe. Let me check. Let me go over here. Okay, I got it right. Yakuboyev had Sindarov. And here is another favorite, Jose Martinez. I mean, not favorite by rating, but favorite by lots of people have been rooting for him at this tournament. And that's what's left of the bracket, my friends. That's it. 8 players, 4 matches for us today.
Hmm. And David, I want to focus. I know it's all important, but I want to focus on the Shanklin game, buddy.
I know you do. That would be like if I told you I love chess, Jesse. All right. I'm just trying to make my standings big here. So it's clear what's left here in this bracket down here. And I do have Shanklin's game up. No, I did have Shanklin's game up. All right. Shanklin's game is live. Take it away, Grandmaster.
Okay.
Ooh,
So
Kraai, the Grandmaster. Come to hustle the hustler, Mr. Grandmaster.
couple things here. So if you back it up, let's say one move, David,
Can be done.
then usually in this position, this is the beginning of a kind of variation to my mind that Kasparov popularized in the 80s against the Queen's Gambit declined. And the whole basic point was I'm going to play a setup with E. So after Bishop G5, I'm going to play a setup of E3, Bishop D3, Knight G E2. often playing my pawn to f3. Okay. And so when I first saw this opening that Esipenko chose, I was like, great, we're going to see something really interesting. Now, that kind of has been confirmed with the computer as being a nice position for white, though, of course, with the computer, it's turned into a thing where there's all kinds of dark theory going on later in that variation.
And for a while, this
Okay.
was considered so good for white that people were playing bishop e7 on move 3 instead of knight f6.
As an example, Fabi did that for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was such a big deal.
Right. Okay. So generally, bishop b4, which we'll call the Ragozin, is only played after white plays knight f3. So instead of a knight c3 move order. Okay. So we got to first begin by saying, of course, it must be playable because it's a developing move. But the general reason why people did not want to play bishop b4 here is that after e3, my knight on g1 can go to e2 and hold space for the f pawn, but also more importantly, defend my knight if it needs to.
Right.
Okay. Now, here's an important feature of the position. If you just imagine, go ahead and play e3 because that's what Dude did, and that this is the first time we've seen Sam think in the opening ever,
Yeah.
because bishop b4 is a little bit unusual. Okay, and white plays e3, and here on h6, if the knight were on f3 instead of the pawn being on e3, then bishop h4 leads to an unclear position. Here, however, Sam could have played bishop h4. It's a huge difference. And this is all about the knight being able to go to e2 instead. So now what Sam has done is, let's say he's done something practical, okay? Because what he's done is we've all done this. It's like we don't feel great about the variation at hand. And so what we then decide to do is to go to something more well known. And so by taking on f6 and then playing queen a4, he's gone into a variation of the Ragozin that he's familiar with.
Yeah.
Now, it still has to be said that maybe it still makes sense to put the knight on e2. I don't know why the knight on e2 would be special anymore, because now after queen a4, there's no super big point to put the knight on e2. Maybe you could make an argument. I don't know what the argument. Actually, I don't know if I understand it. So I think we'll see if this is true, but I think we're just like, for example, if white played knight f3 here, we would transpose directly to one of the main Ragozin lines.
Yeah. And the first time I ever saw the Ragozin, Jesse, before I knew that it was a real line, so it got played against me. And I was just making moves. I was just bringing out my pieces. And I thought, that's weird. They put their bishop on b4 instead of e7.
Yeah.
This is the line I played as white as well. In that my very first time seeing the opening and just thinking, well, that's odd. It was against Alex Yermolinsky, and I did play knight f3.
So without knowing anything, you played queen a4 check? Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting. Good. Well, let's talk about queen a4. So this is an ancient variation with queen a4. We're dragging the knight to c6. We're claiming that it's horribly placed there, but ultimately we're going to lose some time. All right, so Sam here, he has his idea. Here we see it.
Yeah.
He's playing knight e2, friends.
At the time, Jesse, I mean, the reason I played queen a4 was to drag the knight to c6, as you say, right? I'd learned that a knight on c6 is bad in the queen's gambit. And so I brought the knight there. Now I understand, your queen's going to need another move because a4 is a weird square for her. And then they might just move their knight another time to e7, for example, and play c6 if they need to, but it's not necessarily a big deal. So it was a superficial look from me on that first game, and eventually the game ended in Rook and 3. This is something slightly famous about the game, or something notable about it for me. It finished with Rook and 3 against Rook and 3, all on the king side, right? 3 pawns against 3 pawns, and I just kept moving because I never offered draws. And Yermolinsky just started laughing and laughing and laughing, and finally we repeated the position a couple times.
Oh, that's a famous thing that you did that to Yermo.
Yeah, so
Okay, you
that
guys,
was my
here's
first frozen.
here's a detail about this that I don't think Sam knows himself. Check this out. So this move, knight e2, there's only been 5 games played with it.
Wow.
Okay, it's a very rare thing, and the main reason it's rare is normally you only play the Rogozin against knight f3.
Okay, so this
Okay,
position just doesn't even come up so much.
but of the 5 games, and this I don't think Sam knows this, Andrei Esipenko played it as white.
Ay ay ay. Ay ay ay.
So why don't I walk you through that one, buddy?
Yeah.
And let's just see what this is. This
Show us
was
what Black already might know.
so this is the Russian Championship 2025, and he's playing.
Oh God, that's so recent. He
Yeah.
surely knows it. I
Oh,
mean,
well, yeah, obviously he knows
Esipenko,
it.
not Shanklin.
So we have 92, and Esipenko's thinking here. Now, I mean, it's really wild. So, okay, I want to first break it down. I think I would be very surprised if Sam knew. A lot of times he knows everything, but here he has thought already on, let's say,
Yeah.
E3.
Very rare for Sam to think in the opening.
So it went 92, castles, and now my first thought would have been maybe White wanted to play A3 to grab the bishop, which wouldn't be that impressive. Instead, we have knight F4, queen D6, and then A3 snip snap.
Sorry. I was answering a chat question. After 92, what was the move?
So castles.
Castles. A3 forcing the snip.
No, no, no.
No.
That's what I would have thought the intuition was too.
Yeah.
He played knight F4,
Knight F4. Wow.
knight F4, queen D6, A3.
Well, that's quite interesting.
Um, a lot of times this knight can sometimes be interesting. Uh, and then it went B6. Not sure I like B6, honestly. But all right, B6, bishop D3, knight D8. White played C4, DC, bishop C4, knight E6. And the game kind of quickly liquidates into a equal position.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, Jesse, the move knight F4 doesn't look the most precise to me from Esipenko in that stem game.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, it's not even clear the knight's better on F4 than on E2 at this point. It also, I thought the point of the knight on E2 was largely to be able to trade on C3 with the knight and keep the C file open. And then the tempi work out so that at the end, White's whole problem is that Black's using the knight on F4 to trade pieces.
So I'll say there's other games. Oh, Magnus Carlsen played this too.
Oh, my God. Show us that.
So other people have come up with this idea. So this is Carlsen against Nepo on the old Chess 24 site. Magnus Carlsen Invitational KO tournament.
Okay.
So it's a rapid game.
Yep.
92 castles, and his instinct is ours, which is 10A3. Bishop takes, knight takes. Black plays knight E7. Bishop E2, C6. This is how I would do it if I was black.
Yep.
Castles, knight F5. And just the great rule of thumb is if you put your knight on D6 in a Carlsbad structure, you're going to be fine. However, after B4, Nepo plays knight H4,
Haha.
ignoring what I just said.
I'm a GM today, Jesse. I put an arrow to H4 while you were talking about D6.
Yeah. King H1, Queen G6, G3, Knight F5. I mean, it's a blitz game. But after B5, it looks like White is kind of, I don't know, got interesting play.
I mean,
But
it's
Black,
interesting. Black's doing something.
Yeah, black played h5, and actually,
Oh, I'm a GM
Nepo,
today, Jesse.
you're a GM today. Nepo wins this game.
Nepo won this game. Wow.
Yeah. Hmm.
So white's
I mean, it was
doing
a rack.
something, black's doing something, everybody's doing something. If h4 by white, black's probably got knight g3 and just come in and shred everything.
Hmm.
So black's going to get he's going to get contact with h4 in a moment, and white can't necessarily keep it easily under control.
Yeah. So interestingly, there's been a lot of strong players who have pursued this business. We also have Parham playing This Is White. Contour has played This Is White, and then some chump 2300. So I don't know if Sam is like kind of pulling this from his memory or what. I'll just say for myself is that it seems to me like there's a lot of variations, let's say in the Nimzo Indian, where you play knight e2 and then you're going to spend 1,000 tempi to play a3, bishop c3, knight c3, with the hope of having the two bishops and then maybe being able to pull out an advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Here, we've given black so much time, and we're not even going to get the two bishops, you know.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem, I don't think we should be worse or anything, but it doesn't seem like we should have anything special. But maybe we don't have anything special anyway in chess, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe we just get a position anyway. By the way, Mr. Cruz, let's talk about opening preparation for a second.
Yeah.
Sam, yesterday, dude, playing this move h4, my gut on that was that he didn't actually, that wasn't actually prepped, that it was a line that he had seen something similar in a different position because it wasn't even the computer's radar at all to
Let
play
me tell you
h4.
something else. A couple rounds ago in the World Cup in this position,
Yeah.
someone didn't play knight e2. They played knight f3 and queen g6 was played
Uh-huh.
to hold the pawn on g2 for a while. And white played h4, castles h5, queen f6, bishop e2, and then castled with the bishop holding the pawn on h5, sort of some line like that. Um,
Is that
I
something you're just remembering or?
yeah,
Because that's hilarious because that position with queen g6, h4, I had that as black, and Sabina Feuser played that h4 move against me.
yeah. So that got played recently, like I don't know, maybe 2 rounds ago. I don't remember the exact details, but
Right.
something just like that. So okay, so 92. Esipenko thinks for 7 minutes and castles, and Shanklin goes back to thinking. So maybe they're somewhere out in the like mild sidelines of their own expected variations.
I
Not
mean,
not like each of them is not playing exactly what the other person thought was most likely.
I guess. I mean, obviously we're gonna say Esipenko. Well, that's weird because he thought forever on castles, and he just had this as white.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but by the way, I feel like for GMs, it's normal, super GMs anyway, to think when you're a little bit familiar with the position and
Mm-hmm.
just to, like find your bearings
Yeah,
on what's going on.
and sometimes they're making choices about stuff coming up. Like they're thinking about stuff they know, but they're thinking ahead. Which direction are they trying to take it? You know, sometimes they know 2 different lines or 3 different lines, right? They're picking which one they
Yeah.
want to play. Um, I'm not sure about it, but if there were an alternative to castles, bishop e6 is sometimes a typical move in the Ragozin. And the reason to play bishop e6 in general in the Ragozin would be to answer a3 with bishop d6 and keep that angry bishop. And by doing that, you're also leaving white's knight on e2, owing you a tempo generally for the bishop on f1. And why does bishop e6 enable this? Well, it defends the d5 pawn. So then when white plays a3, you're not forced to take on c3. Your pawn's defended. You can retreat. And then castle and knight e7. And I played a game as white in the Ragozin recently in my blitz quest. And when I looked it up in the computer afterwards, it said black was better in a position just like this, Jesse. And I said, hey, they're playing a Queen's Gambit with their knight on c6. They can't be better in 10 moves. What's going on? But, all this time White spent on Queen a4 and a3, and once Black plays knight e7, c6, they just have a normal position, but the computer liked that bishop on d6, I guess. So I assume that if Esipenko was thinking about castles, that he had some option here, and bishop e6 looks like maybe the big alternative there.
Okay, let me give you a little spiel about Esipenko.
Tell us.
Okay, so first of all, there's a lot of reasons to be a fan of this dude. One is he signed a letter against the Ukrainian war, which I think takes epic balls.
Yeah.
I think when it all went down, we had everybody's or a lot of players, a lot of chess players in Russia sign that letter. It seemed like, oh, that's the consensus maybe of a kind of elite group of people, and there's probably popular feeling that that is a wrong thing to do. But hindsight has shown that the Russian public is incredibly for this war, right? They are incredibly for it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next thing, he is from a suburb of Rostov-on-Don, which is this hub which is right next to Ukraine. So that's like where all of the logistics or a lot of the logistics of the Russian army are going through is Rostov.
Okay.
Next thing
If it's a
is
border town, it's probably a town which pre-war had a lot of Ukrainian-Russian, commerce and exchange of,
yeah, yeah, no, of course,
people and trade and everything.
so when you look at his rating graph, because I remembered him from when he was younger.
Yeah.
So, now he's like 23, 24, and he's no longer spring chicken. But I remembered that he had made 2,700. And one of the things that's really wild is he makes 2,700 like right and holds it for the period right before the Ukrainian war. Immediately after the Ukrainian war starts, he has a period of decline and then a period of like no games. No games. And very few games kind of are happening in this period after the Ukrainian war starts. So imagine like you're this young talent, you're playing all these events and stuff,
Yeah.
and then you sign that letter and you don't probably not traveling at all, not much chess going on. You're not getting any invites in the Russian community,
Right.
right? And so the period of like November 22 to what do we got here? October 23, he doesn't play any tournaments at all
At age 20.
at age 20. And then there's another period for about 6 months. He doesn't play anything. And then just sporadic playing after that. So he hit his peak of 27, 23, amazing, and really has not really recovered at all. So kind of like a lot like, well, not a lot like Sam, but what what is similar to Sam is Sam hit a peak around that 27, 23 as well,
Mm-hmm.
and then has struggled even more because Sam dipped even further below 2,700.
Yeah.
But they're both stories of players who were once there and are trying to come back. And I don't know the full story about how, if he was persecuted for his letter or what was going on, but clearly he didn't have the chance, the necessary chances to play at a very critical time in his chess career
Right.
after this 2022 thing happened.
So he's now 23. He probably lost some games during COVID as well, right? When he would have been 18 when COVID first hit, he probably lost
True,
a
yeah.
year or so of tournaments. That's kind of the minimum that everybody lost around that
That's
time.
absolutely right.
So he
So
probably
April 2020 to December 2020 he doesn't play at all.
right. So that's another year at age 18. And then losing a year at age 20. I mean, this is a guy who was considered a potential world championship level chess talent throughout his teens, and had a couple encounters with Magnus Carlsen, including one that he managed to win in sensational fashion. So definitely somebody who had high goals and lots of hype around him, and I wonder how he's carrying all that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
Rainbow Teddy is a fan of his, by the way, Jesse. Rainbow Teddy is rooting for Andrei Esipenko to make it into the candidates.
All right.
One of our friends from Deutschland. Sam's played
Also, not to forget, he's very pretty.
Yeah, he's a big fan. It looks like he's got a picture of Esipenko up somewhere in his house.
Oh, you know Rainbow Teddy?
I mean, if he's talking about Andre's looks, he must have a picture that he's looking at, right?
Okay. Update. So, Sam plays Rook C1.
Yeah.
This is a novelty.
Novelty.
And he takes 4 minutes on it. And it's very understandable to me that this is a little bit of a strange move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're in a little bit new territory here. One of the points of the move Rook C1 is to take on C3 not with the pawn in the knight F3 line, right? So in this exact position with the knight on F3, I think I played Rook C1 in my blitz game, a couple days ago. So with the knight on E2, it's not as obvious what Rook C1 is doing here. Although at least I like it better than knight F4, I'll tell you that.
Right. I think for one, it poses kind of an interesting question for black. And I think my first question would be, what about Rook E8?
Mm-hmm.
I think, okay, and there's a couple interesting things. Remember you mentioned Queen G6 earlier?
Mm-hmm.
Queen G6 is always kind of interesting if the bishop's still on F1. So we're denying any Queen G6 because I have knight F4 in my pocket. Obviously, I can still play knight F4 now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess one thing I would wonder is there any world where black keeps the dark squared bishop? That's one thing I'm always wondering about.
Right, so imagine maybe bishop E6 now.
All right. And then I think maybe Shanklin's well poised to play the move knight D4? Sorry, knight F4. I say that F4. I misspeak because I'm calculating knight takes D4 for black, folks, which is something to worry about when we're delaying castling and putting the knight on F4. And then queen B4 should be okay. Now this knight F4 I like better than the other one for a number of reasons. For one thing, you can still take on C3 with the rook, not the pawn. And for another, you're kind of hitting the bishop and the pawn on D5, so we don't have this knight D8, E6 coming in, and the knight seems to have purpose there. It's holding a kind of tension over black.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing to wonder about. Bishop E6, knight F4. Black has other moves. Rook E8, rook D8, queen G6.
Yeah, I would say rook E8 is the first move that comes to mind for black.
Yeah, let's look at that move first, because I agree. That move says that if Shanky moves the knight off E2 at some point, even to C3, for example, then black's going to take on D4 because white's not yet castled.
Well, notice, though, a point of rook C1 is that on knight F4, knight D4, I can take on B4. Now, the thing that's very painful, though, is dude could play queen takes D4. And then I guess I'm hosed.
Queen takes D4? I think he's got a move that hoses you much worse than queen takes D4.
Very good. Yeah, queen takes F4. So, rook E8, big question. I guess A3 is our move.
A3 could be a move. G3 could be a move, I think, because after
G3 could be a move.
Because after A3, when black takes, you can't take with your knight, right? Because of queen D4. Well, maybe you can. Queen D4, knight D4, knight D5.
Yeah, you could do that.
Okay. Okay, I guess you could play a3. Bishop c3, knight c3.
But the weird thing is, Mr. Pruess,
Yeah.
if we're going to play bishop c3, knight c3, why did we play rook c1?
I don't know. I mean, in that line after queen d4, knight d4, knight d5, our rook's well placed on c1. Knight e6, we're going to be able to grab a pawn.
Okay, we have a move, 9 minutes spent, black plays rook d8.
Yeah.
And the good news for us is that at minimum it feels a little passive.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like black isn't going to knock us out or anything
Yeah.
after rook d8.
But careful. Black's currently able to answer a3 with bishop f8.
Right. Actually, so maybe we could call it aggressive, even though it looks kind of passive,
Right.
because we have the ability now to save our dark square bishop, which is really the pride of the black position.
Yeah. Save our soul. In fact, no. Okay. He's not able to answer knight f4 with knight d4 because of queen b4 still. Okay. So Sam could play knight f4 here if he wanted to. That's a move trying to keep the bishop on b4 from escaping.
G5 might be, I mean, you kind of, what do you even want to do after G5? Go to D3 like a sad sack?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe d3.
So, okay, my basic take on these positions is that if black can keep the bishop and play some kind of thing like knight e7 to c6, then we are worse, like maybe even considerably worse.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what the computer engine yelled at me after I played a game like this. Aditya, you're wondering why white gave up the bishop for the knight on f6 many moons ago. What is the story or argument there? Basically just tempo. Black was threatening to take the bishop with the pawn, so you could preserve it and give up time, or you can trade it and then you get a tempo to do what you want next. Also, some would say bishop h4, g5, bishop g3, knight e4. They can get your bishop anyway. So once you put the bishop out there, you were willing to trade it for the knight if black was willing to spend tempi chasing it with pawns.
Now, Mr. Proust, the other thing that you kind of encouraged me to think about by mentioning G3 is after rook D8, we could consider G3.
Yeah.
Now, it's a real thing you're going to have to calculate though, because Queen F4 is kind of a thing. Or, excuse me, not Queen F4, Queen F3
Mm-hmm.
is a real thing, and then you got to calculate like Rook G1, Bishop G4 kind of stuff.
Okay, let's try calculating it. Oof.
Don't do that. So I'm assuming on Bishop G4 we'd have to play H3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if it's 100% forced. There's also the move knight f4, but
Okay, good call. Yeah.
I'm not like completely averse to playing h3.
No. Let's do your knight F4 thing. It looks more
I
interesting.
mean, your h3 looks really good as well because after bishop h5, knight f4, then the bishop's also in jeopardy as well as the queen. It looks like black has overplayed their hand unless knight d4 mates white somehow, which I don't think it does.
So yeah, let's say the obvious thing about G3. Like black could play Queen F3, Rook G1, and if he wanted to, just go back
Mm-hmm.
and claim that, hey, buddy, your king is permanently on the run.
Mm-hmm.
Even if, but it's true, the bishop going to G2 is a nice piece.
So black's gonna have to then trade on c3. And now maybe Sam recaptures with the rook instead of the knight. I know knight c3 looks like, ooh, it's so, we're hitting d5. That's the whole point. Black plays knight e7. And if they play c6, it's like big deal. So what if you take with the rook now and say the knight is stuck on c6 because of c7 and you want to play knight f4 next?
All right, so I'll try Queen D6.
This would look very pretty if our rook weren't on g1, but of course black spent two moves
right.
moving the queen, so they had to get something for it. And of course, if the rook weren't on g1, your position would look good when your opponents played queen f6 to f3 to f6. as we get a
Yeah.
move from Shanky, which is knight f4.
All right. So no G3 madness.
That was an interesting question for sure over there. So knight f4, this move is designed to prevent black from saving the bishop pair, trying to
Hmm.
force black to take on c3 at some point, but black's got the option of g5, and my first line here went, g5, knight d3, bishop f8, idea knight e7, Maybe that encourages Sam to play another h4 game, though, Jesse. Maybe he just leaves his king in the middle of the board.
Okay, so I would say, let me just say something that something the computer I feel has taught me
Mm-hmm.
is that these positions where black gets to keep the bishop are there's like a whole class of positions
Mm-hmm.
out there in, let's call them an opening theory, where black gets to keep the bishop and the computer loves it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons is right there, like even if you play h4, my bishop on g7 is, whenever I want to put him there, is such a strong defensive piece
Yeah.
that it's not clear you want to do it to yourself with h4. After you play h4, your king is also on the run.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I like g5 for black.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there might be other candidate
My
moves.
counter argument, Jesse, would be that at some point this knight's going to go to e7,
Uh-huh.
and maybe white will jam a knight on e5. And God, if only I could castle queenside, I could make a better argument for what I was up to.
Yeah. Maybe if you were able to jam me and play f4 or something like that. So, okay, let's characterize the position like this, that both sides have awkward development, like
Mm-hmm.
black's knight c6 and bishop b4 both are a little unhappy with where they stand.
Yeah.
It's important to also say that the bishop on c8 is, even though it has that diagonal, is generally black's problem piece that he wants to trade off.
Yeah.
Our good bishop on f1 doesn't know where it wants to go yet, and our king really wants to castle.
Our king is like the biggest problem for white.
Yeah.
The minor pieces are all fine for white. Rook on c1's good. Maybe the king just walks around it. It's a long way to castle by hand, but
That's a long wow. Stop it, Bruce.
uh,
Uh,
all right.
oh,
Jesse
I
probably wants me
think
to take those crooked arrows away.
I think Yellow is asking a different question. He's talking about, I think that, the group classes we have for January.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's talking about, could we publish something on YouTube about how it actually works? So,
I think he's asking, would we publish those lessons on YouTube so people know what they would be buying if they bought the class? But if we sell the class to somebody and then just publish it on YouTube, then why did they pay for it? And we already have a lot of samples of our teaching up on YouTube, so I
no,
think,
but I understand. He just does, just imagine he has no idea what it would be like.
mhm.
And so I don't know, like we could publish snippets of it or just an intro. We could definitely do like an intro video with some outtakes from actual lessons or something like that.
maybe some snip snop.
But I think Yellow, the basic take is we had a very strong response to that. And on January, we just want to do it we're not even gonna, I don't think we're gonna even advertise it too much more because in January, we just want to try to see how well it works and then probably maybe modify it a little bit for February and onward. So if you want to get in, you just got to get in. We're not going to do a lot for January anyway. We're not going to do a lot of futzing about with videos and yada yada.
Yeah. Does black have candidate moves other than g5, Jesse? You're pretty happy playing g5. You'd
I'm
probably
pretty
just
happy
do it.
playing g5. There's always more candidate moves.
Does g5 knight h5 have any sense to it?
I don't really like it.
Would you go to g6?
I assume so, yeah.
Or do you just not even care where you go, maybe?
But it's true. You could consider knight h5. You could consider like knight h5, queen g6, knight g3, and then maybe even queen c2. Because when you actually, that's a good point, Mr. Bruce. I hadn't considered it. So I was just thinking knight d3 kind of reflexively. But the bishop on b4 wants to move anyway. So it's not like we're gaining a tempo by whacking it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that might be a fair point. My sensei eval, by the way, is equal. If I had the option, I'd give it an unclear position.
Okay. After g5, we can't take on d5 for some reason. Yes. Knight f4, g5, knight d5, rook d5. And we would have lost our horsey.
Yeah. We had a question. Why would white give up the knight, bishop for the knight on f6? What is the argument? Well, it's a really interesting thing, actually, that generally the problem is if you go to h4, black is going to get active play with a variety of things like g5 and knight e4 earlier on, we're talking about, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But here it might have been, it was possible for Sam to have played bishop h4 because he has had a different move order than the traditional thing.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a move on the board. I think this is very good news for Sam. Bishop takes c3.
Fantastic news for Sam.
So what this calls is, well, it's interesting. Why would we do this?
We didn't spend a tempo on a3. And black didn't manage to keep the bishop. And now every move Sam's played looks relatively smooth here. If he takes with the pawn now, Jesse, I'm going to freak out about how I don't understand anything.
Right. And so also like if black had the intention or ability to play knight e7 and c6, then I would be like, okay, that's a playable position for black. But after rook c3, there's no knight e7 because of our big fatty rook.
Right.
So, a very surprising move for me.
Yeah. Now, of course, it's the knight's not stuck on c6 terminally yet. You know, there's still plans and options like queen d6, trying to support the pawn, trying to arrange knight e7. But you know, black's doing some work, and time-wise, we didn't spend a move on a3. Now black's in contortions to fix their c file. This is like the, you know, knight on c6 is kind of bad in this in an exchange queen's gambit textbook position here.
Huh. To me, it really feels too like he's drifting. So it's not just this move, but if you think for 9 minutes on rook d8 and then 7 minutes on bishop c3,
Yeah.
and the moves don't really fit, I'm like, well, what's going on here?
Yeah.
It feels like you're drifting, buddy.
I mean, first of all, voluntary bishop c3 is mildly unpleasant. Secondly, it matches up very well with Shanklin's rook c3 and somewhat poorly with black's rook d8. The main reason to put the rook on d8 instead of e8 would be to retreat the bishop from b4 and keep it. Rook d8 is taking pressure off of d5, but then he trades on c3 as if there was too much pressure on d5. What about knight e7, rook c7, knight c6?
Okay, that's a thought. Maybe that's his thought. Okay, let's try that.
Well, I mean, generally this rook is going to sell its life dearly here, so I would say bishop b5, just gunning.
Okay, queen d6.
Queen d6. And now I want to snop on c6.
Queen c7.
Pawn. Oh, I took with the rook on c6. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Bishop c6, rook b8.
I think the reason this is not going to work out for White, Mr. Pruess, is you still owe me a vital tempo with your castling.
Do owe you the tempo. And then against b3, there's rook b4. We can see that I've been risky, but I dance out with queen a5. I get away with one crime here.
Do you though? Queen takes c6 and queen c1.
I was going to play queen d8 with check
Oh,
and
you
then
got queen
castle.
d8. Got it. Okay, maybe. First of all, I'm thankful for this thought. I was looking at rook c7 and I kind of stopped. Whether this is true or not, it's at least a good guess on what Esipenko's thought is with bishop c3. Now, me and Pruess would just maniacally take back rook c3, but Shanklin's actually calculating something like this right now.
Yeah.
Now, of course, Sam doesn't have to take on c7, but I think the claim from Esipenko is that if he gets to play c6, then he has a roughly equal position.
Yeah. I got another potentially evil move for Shankland here after knight e7. I could
Okay.
play the sneaky queen a5, preventing c6.
Oh, that is very sneaky.
And this move is a little bit, at least a little bit evil.
Okay, but let's say I play b6 like a normal person.
Great. I drop back to a4. b4? a3? I don't know. Let's go to a4 for now.
Yeah, if comes to worse, I can just play c6.
Yeah, but now you're c6. I mean, your knight's not going on to f5 and h4 and glory on g2 because you got this pawn on
I
c6
can though.
hanging.
I can play bishop d7. I have other
Yeah,
ideas
yeah,
too,
but
though.
check this out. I'm going to play a move that could have been in a 1980s strategy textbook. They'd be like, what? He trades the bad bishop with the good bishop? Because bad bishops defend bad pawns? Bishop a6! Taste me!
Oh my
There you
God.
go. There you go. Straight into the textbooks.
This sounds a little dangerous, Mr. Bruce. Sounds a little dangerous. Bishop a6, c5.
Woo! Blow for blow. That's a nice move, dog. All right.
Well, this is the kind of thing that we should expect when you don't develop your, castle your
No, no,
king.
no. It's okay. It's okay. Terrible two-step. Bishop b5.
Bishop b5, terrible two-step.
Double exclam.
I think after c4, you're gonna wonder.
You're gonna wonder.
Okay, we got to move. Rook c3, knight e7. So who
Wow.
called that in chat? That was genius.
Yeah.
That was thing from space called knight e7.
97.
All right, big decision for Sam here. And so this is what Esipenko thought forever on.
This is his secret sauce.
And
He's
I just want to say, like, I think this is a very positional, it suggests a very positional mind because he's saying, all right, I need to get C6 in, and then I know I'm fine. So I'm going to calculate it to make sure that rook C7 is at least not terrible for me.
yeah. I got some more highfalutin nonsense for you, Jesse. Another candidate move for Shanky
Okay,
Pank.
but I just want to say about this. So, uh, before we go down the dark road,
Yeah.
Shankland is going to have to think forever here to try to extract a little pound of flesh. some players might just trust you could another totally different strategy that Sam's not gonna well sometimes he has done this actually but you could just be like okay I trust you boss and I just play bishop e2
Yeah. Just bishop e2, c6, castles, whatever.
yeah and there you could argue that white's a little bit better
Right.
you could make the argument
Although we've seen apparently that Magnus got this position more or less against Nepo and
Mm.
even lost it. So
But notice okay I feel it is different though because the knight on f4 is a great defender as well so I feel that here I'm less worried about getting raged upon.
okay, fair enough.
But it's true. If black plays c6, they're going to try to, and we do our little dance with the minority attack, they're going to try to attack us. That's very true.
Yeah. Okay, so here's my idea, Jesse. We pre-minority attack with b4
Uh-huh.
right here in the live position. And the threat is, rook c7, knight c6, b5,
Okay.
which probably would be good if black didn't make a move, if they just held still for us for a moment, which no GM ever does. And then the idea is if black plays c6 here, I'm going to play b5, like all hyped up. Now, I don't know if that's even good for me because I'm so behind in development. Such a chump.
Yeah, I don't know, Mr. Bruce. This doesn't look right to me. How about b4, bishop d7, first of all?
b4, bishop d7. Okay, queen a5.
c6.
c6. Queen c7.
Oh, you really want to get frisky over here.
I lost
Now,
my
it's easy.
mind.
It's easy for Bruce to do this because he doesn't care
It's
about
not my
development.
queen. Playing with Sam's money here.
Yeah, what are you doing, buddy? Are you ever gonna are you threatening Queen B7? Kind of, sort of, maybe? I don't know. Let's say I just play knight F5 and wonder if you're actually gonna take that thing.
Okay. And meanwhile, Jesse is prepared to play knight takes d4, which Pruess does not like.
Or my famous knight D6. This is what happens when you don't
This is what
develop your
happens. This is what happens when you don't develop your pieces. That's terrible, folks. Never play those moves. I don't know. I'm trying to imitate a d4 player.
All
Cool
right, but
imitation.
let's do our candidate moves. We got bishop E2. I would say bishop E2 and rook C7 are White's main candidates. This queen A5 thing that Mr. Proust is considering, I like less because I believe in the power of development. Um,
You sound like a My Little Pony tagline.
what? My little pony. Let's go down this rook C7 thing again, Mr. Bruce, just to check it because it's the most complicated of these things.
Yeah.
All right,
Knight
rook
to
C7,
c6.
knight C6. Inherently, I believe in black, but let's just keep it going here.
Yeah.
Bishop B5.
Did I have other moves here
Besides what?
besides bishop b5?
Oh, I don't know. I thought that was at least a reasonable try.
All right.
It's hard to do things when your king is way out there.
Wait, I have
So,
one other move maybe.
okay,
If I played queen a3,
interesting. Okay,
you
but then
can't attack my rook just yet, right?
I could play knight D4, right?
Right, knight d4. Now my rook is alive, right? Alive.
Okay, but your king is not.
My
But your
king
king
is
is
not.
not.
Bishop d3.
D3, he's not afraid.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid. I'll be honest.
Hmm.
I mean, you could play knight c6 because now you're threatening queen e5, right?
Yeah, that's a reasonable thought. I was also going to just play bishop f5 because I believe in development.
Sure. Now I'm thinking you believe in a thing called development. I believe. This just looks terrible for white, right? Even
Yeah, I don't
just the
like
knight
it.
c6 move. I mean, just queen e5. What am I doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? I don't believe in rook c7 at all, but we'll try bishop b5 again.
Okay, that's good, Mr. Bruce, because before you were taking it like a madman. And
Well,
by the
I was just
way,
trying it. I don't believe. I don't
I
believe.
think a really interesting rook c7 was Sam's rook c7 against Dubov, where he sacked the exchange in a position that I did not initially believe he could do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I came around to it, I was like, it's at least a very interesting exchange sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm just saying,
Okay.
I think normal people would not consider rook c7. Sam is thinking about it. So bishop b5,
Yeah.
queen d6.
Yeah. Got to give the rook, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. I
All
got to give
right,
the
rook
rook.
takes pawn, pawn takes, bishop takes, rook. In addition to rook b8, he has bishop d7.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
I'm done. So I'm done. I'm not looking at this no
You're
more.
done. Yeah. It's all pretty pointless because the best case scenario would be if we somehow caught up on development without black hurting us, it would be we'd have a knight and two pawns against a rook, which is like, wow, congrats, with an open file.
Yeah, exactly, Mundo.
There's just no way. There's no
And
world.
he's gonna get to the open file first. Yeah. Okay. No, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
So 97, interesting. I'm gonna claim though that white is like, I don't know, point 0.2, point 0.3 after bishop e2.
Bishop e2. All right. I'll put 0.25 for you for now.
Okay.
I'm going to stay on 0.1 for myself. Bishop e2. Um,
By the way, Mr. Bruce, we have a result. It seems like a draw has been made in Eric Icy Wei Yi.
Geez, they're down to my end game with Yermolinsky.
Um, the thing I want to say about that dude is like, I feel, by the way, that there's two ways to be a fan of this event. One is you're following storylines like Sam's, where I'm just like a fan. Same thing with Yospem. Those two guys I'm really pumped up on. Um, on the other hand, I'm also a fan of like World Championship history, and I want the top players to arrive at the final candidates tournament. So at the moment, I feel we have three players left who can be considered not chumps. Okay, and that would be Wei Yi, Eric Geisy, and Sindarov.
Mm-hmm.
And in this event, one of them is going to knock each other out.
Yeah, we can guarantee that it will not be Aragaisi and Wei Yi in the candidates. That was
Right.
ordained long ago.
That's some real snip snop that happened there,
Well,
but
Arjun had his prep. I just clicked through the game very, very quickly for everybody. Arjun played this unusual move, Bishop e6 here on move 9. I've never seen this before. I mean, it's normal in the Italian game, which would look almost the same, but with the pawn on b7. But I'd never seen this here before. Wei Yi thought for 21 minutes and went down a line which Arjun basically did not think this entire game, Jesse. Like, threw the pawn sack on b5, the knight d4 tactics, this rook b8, bishop takes d4 move. He didn't think about, like, anything. Like, 1 minute on one move this entire game, basically. He finishes the game with an hour and 35, Arjun. He has been very well prepared. And a
hmm.
quote from an Arjun interview 1 or 2 days ago was, "I think my preparation speaks for itself." On
The chess speaks for itself.
Yeah, and his version is the preparation. He has been over an hour and 30 at move 17, 18, game after game after game this tournament. You know that Aronian game that we watched that was so exciting 2 days ago, that game featured like 17 moves of prep from Arjun as well. He knew that position like dark, deep, Jesse.
Okay, so we go to the Sam game. I'm going to say I'm an IM today because I wanted Bishop E2, and I had very strong reasons for wanting Bishop E2. Sam thought 9 minutes. One of the main reasons I wanted Bishop E2
Mm-hmm.
was my general understanding of the position is that Black really wants to trade off the bishop on C8. In fact, my coach told me if you ever trade it off, you're fine. It doesn't matter. So uh, Bishop D3 was played, which invites a later Bishop F5.
Yeah, which then
So,
is declined by Asipenko
which
with a
is then
very quick knight
declined,
F5.
which then shows I'm an IM
Oh,
today.
yeah.
I'm an IM
I
today.
also would have played Bishop E2, Jesse, for the
Hmm.
record, so you're firmly in IM territory. um, yeah. I don't know what to tell you to comfort you about the whole thing.
Okay, now knight f5 is a move I can fundamentally believe in though, because in addition to my bishop f5 dogma, I also have my dogma about putting the knight on d6
Mm-hmm. Until he puts the knight on H4.
until he puts it on h4. So, if nothing else for black, I could play knight d6 followed by bishop f5. And knight d6 works against b4, b5 stuff. It holds b7. It holds so many magical squares. Looks at c4. It's an amazing move.
Yeah. At the moment, knight f5 also prevents the minority attack because of knight takes d4. Not that I figured out what we're doing after a6. I mean, it seems like the minority attack doesn't go very far here with 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 the queen on a4.
Well, you
But
could play b5 there. Maybe. I don't know.
maybe, yeah, maybe with the queen on a4 you could play b5 in some such position. Shanklin's played something pretty quickly. Rook fc1. He just says, check out my power on the file.
Now, the bummer about the file is sometimes that file is there might not be anything going on over there, buddy.
Sometimes it's a dead end, right?
Knocking his head against the wall, dude.
Yeah.
All right, so there's some definite moves I want to ponder here to try to improve my chess, understand what's going on. I don't understand Rook FC1. Okay, Mr. Bruce, what would White's plan be after knight D6? That would be my question.
What would the plan be after knight d6?
Yeah, what was White's intention be after this natural knight D6 move?
Um, let's see, knight d6 played just now.
Oh, I'm a GM today.
I hear you, ZJ. I hear you. But yeah, I mean, I would guess that Shanklin probably prepared 1.5 hours for the rapid match with Dubov. Maybe even two. He might have pushed it because the rapid
And
games
I,
aren't going to be as exhausting necessarily as a classical. But if you get into a long match with multiple rounds, then you won't have wanted to prepare for too long.
I honestly, Mr. Bruce, I'm really struggling to see what Sam's thinking here because yeah, I'm struggling to see it. All right, let me give you more dogmas.
Yeah.
Um, so in my appreciation of this position for white, there's basically three plans you can do. There's F3, E4. That's not happening here.
Yeah.
There's like some kind of 95 F4. Let's call that the Pillsbury. That's not happening here.
Yeah.
And then there's the minority attack, which of those plans I generally like least. But here it's definitely also not happening because B4, Bishop F5, and you're not even close to hitting it. Plus, Now with the knight on d6, I always have the interesting option of playing b5 and knight c4,
Mm-hmm.
plugging the plug. So I don't understand why it's rook fc1. And I didn't understand bishop d3 either.
Mm-hmm.
Now that doesn't mean Sam doesn't have something. I'm just saying I don't get it.
Right. Now, if his bishop were on e2, he could plausibly be planning b4, b5 right here.
Maybe, yeah. But even then, why would I be playing rook fc1? What's the idea?
Defending the rook on c3 before playing before. I don't. Why would you not have just played b4, b5? I mean, there was the problem that b4 there was knight takes d4, right? With the knight on f5, if he played b4, there was
Mhm.
knight d4, so he couldn't push b4 yet.
All right, we got to move queen d1.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we put this in perspective, we could say part of the point of rook fc1 was that our queen could come back.
Mm-hmm. My big question is, if we see bishop f5, is Sam just going to move the bishop back, or is he going to allow that trade? Normally, you
And
would
it
move the bishop back. You would just keep those pieces.
and if you move the bishop back, you have to contend with the natural knight e4, which,
Yeah.
could be a potential thing.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
But there's a lot of moving back and forth sometimes in some of these positions. So we could imagine like bishop f5, bishop f1 or e2. I don't know, e2, let's say. Knight e4, rook 2. Let's just say b3, right? Why not just bother the opponent weirdly a little?
Well, okay. I mean, you have to figure about knight f2 followed by g5 now.
Jeez Louise, Jesse. Getting all violent. Knight h5?
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. Yeah. Anyways, why are you putting it on e2 instead of f1?
I don't know.
Okay, okay. Maybe there's points in bishop
I
e2.
just
Yeah.
playing some moves for the moment.
But you're right, just rook d7 or something after rook b3.
Right, and then I was gonna
It's
play.
very unclear to me what the rooks are doing.
Then I was gonna play knight d3.
Hmm. Okay.
I'm just kind of moving back and forth, in circles.
Okay, so my so what I'm seeing is like, okay, so if we're gonna put a pin in it, we're gonna say the strategy for white here is to say, with my rooks here, I might someday play b4, but I'm mostly just trying to do something like bishop f1, knight d3, something like that.
I might just plop a knight on c5 or e5.
Might be Pruess is talking about some plopping.
I might just sit around a lot longer and do nothing.
I think a main reason my intuition is bishop f1 instead of bishop e2 is if we're
Mm-hmm.
going to put the queen on d1, someday we might want to use that diagonal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's try that. Let's try bishop f1, knight e4, rook b3, rook d7.
By the way, I'm not sure even about
Three.
94. We can argue the knight's already perfect.
Yep, I think so. I feel like knight e4 might almost be a trap from white.
A very typical move after bishop f5, bishop f1 would be a5,
Yeah.
just gaining some space. You could also play things like rook e8, just doing natural moves.
Mm-hmm. Rook a3. I'll play rook a. Sorry, a5. I'll play rook a3.
I don't know what you're doing really. Okay, so David is doing like tactical things against his basic moves. Um, I just want to say, like after Bishop F1, Black could play a variety of moves. So A5, Rook E8. You could arrange for like even G6, H5 to do H4 down the line. And I think it's easier for Black to play than White. White would kind of eventually want a plan. All right, so Bishop F5.
So now
This
the
is great practice for us, Mr. Pruess. Well, for me anyways, because I'm like, okay, try to get inside Sam's head because Sam definitely has a conception of of what's going on, whether it's right or wrong. And Black is playing all the moves that I was, I think Esipenko's playing like a classic Soviet GM here, right? These are all classic. These are all moves that have been known since Capablanca.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you feel like the bishop should retreat here, one way or another?
Bishop F1, I'm a GM today.
All right. There we go.
Now, on this next move for Black, I feel like it's a wide choice. I think Rook E8 is a good building move. There's A5. And I've seen a lot of players do like G6, H5 here. A lot of times like G6, King G7, just to build some space over there and get that H5 move in. And if I was White playing a strong player, I'd be a little flummoxed. I'd be like, well, what is he doing to me? What does he want?
Yeah.
So like all those moves I mentioned are just the classical positional moves that you do here. But I don't know. I would be like, well, what does Sam want from me? What what does he want, man?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you look at the White position, it's like, okay, well, what is White gonna do? I don't know. Even the really boneheaded looking move A6, it'd just be like, what? What? What do you want with me, man?
I mean, I think if you play a6, then white wants to play rook b3,
And then what?
knight d3.
And then if I put a rook on E7, how are you ever touching my coconuts? So
Knight c5.
one setup for black, by the way, is to play rook E8 to E7, put the other rook on E8,
Mm-hmm.
and then have the bishop going back to C8, and then you can see the Pruss's dreams of like knight D3, C5 are just nope, nothing going on there.
Bishop back to c8, huh? That's pretty
The
tough
knight
to
on
crack.
D6, yeah, it's like
That's pretty
he's
tough to crack.
bows. He's a bows.
What do we the senseis think the Russian school of chess means? Well, sounds like a full dojo talk episode, but I mean basically, you know, there was all kinds of there were coaches all over the country, chess clubs, people were there was a whole engine of chess excellence.
I want to give a little answer I was thinking about recently. So, Jan Elvis put out this thing recently where he was like, Jan Elvis, former third in the world, a good example of Soviet school, even though he's from Estonia. Well, Estonia was part of the Soviets.
Mm-hmm.
So he said these people he's watching the World Cup, they don't know how to even play chess. And I was like, are you drunk again, bro? What he's saying? But I think his take, it applies to this kind of position like this, is when you think about the evolution, I'm going to try to put a pin on here. In evolution, let's say from um, Nimzovich into the Russian school, is Nimzovich had the development of a lot of abstract principles, and then what the Russian school in a lot of ways codifies is to be like, okay, in this kind of position, you do this. So this position is a good example of it. I would say like in this position, we put our knight on d6 and we trade off our bad light square bishop.
Hmm.
And then we have like a codification of plans for white too. F3, E4, knight E5, F4, minority attack, that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And so one of the things that an Elvis will be upset by is when we saw a Gukesh Aragaisi game that we followed that ended in a draw. And I think it was an IQP position. From his perspective, it'd just be like, these people have no idea. They have no idea how to play this position because they're playing it move by move. They're looking for little tactical trips and tricks and zips.
Hmm.
Okay, we have a move on
Yeah.
the board, G5.
But but another thing, another way of thinking about what is Russian chess school is you could think of it as like an accumulation of common chess wisdom. That's partly what people are talking about, right? Like, oh, knight on d6 in this position, or
Yeah,
do or
yeah,
don't
yeah.
trade these bishops, or this sort of thing. It's like when something like chess becomes so popular in a certain culture that you develop very, very advanced examples of common knowledge, right? When random people know about, Van Cura's defense in rook endgames, right? When that's common knowledge. When the knight on d6 being a good square in this exchange Queen's Gambit pawn structure is common knowledge. When every, kid knows this stuff.
Every Russian
Yeah.
schoolboy knows to take back with a pawn.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just talk about it. G5 is a move that's saying, Sam, you have no clue what you're doing, and I'm going to try to hurt you now. That's what it says. And it's pretty remarkable because when you look at the knight on F4, it needed after C6, it needs a job. So even if without G5, I think knight D3 would be a candidate move
Yeah.
for white. So pretty surprising
Yeah, a
that
little
we're
bit hectic from Andre since he had simple moves like rook e8 and a5, as you mentioned.
yeah. And I'll just say, if I was white in this position and I was feeling strategically lost, but by that I just mean I have no idea what's going on.
Mm.
I would be thankful for G5 because it would turn the game into a more concrete flavor.
Mm-hmm.
So now we can start calculating,
Yeah.
and there's knight H5 is a thought now. You could play knight H5 and some kind of knight G3 thing. There's ideas here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on the other hand, I'd be worried with g5 because I'm not yet going anywhere on the queen side, and this f2, e3, d4 pawn structure locks all my rooks out of the king side. So it's hard to meet the amount of force and rage that black can bring to the king side. And let's just say, like, sometimes as black, you play normal moves like rook e8 and a5 first, right? And then if your opponent stalls out, then at some point you play g5 when you've done all the improving you can.
Yeah.
To
No, that's what
me,
I'm saying. G5 is saying, Sam, you have no idea what you're doing.
G5 says maybe he's not wasting a move on rook e8 because he's going king g7 and h5 and rook h8. Um, so
Yeah.
I definitely have some worries here as white.
Well, I was already worried even before G5.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a good take. So we're saying if knight D, Bruce is saying if knight D3, maybe the hyper ambitious king G7
Yeah.
intending H8, H5 with a big FU to the whole thing.
What's our evaluation here, Jesse, right now?
I mean, I think it's probably still technically equal, but I so would rather be black.
You'd
So
rather
I'll
be
make
black
it a
already.
negative point two.
So you're going to say what? Negative point two?
Mhm.
I have an inkling that the position is a tiny bit in white's favor against everything that I actually see on the board.
Huh.
So I'm going to leave my evaluation at plus 0.1.
Okay.
think it's only fluctuated by a few hundredths of a pawn here or there so far. Is the minority attack too slow? We don't know, Cats. That's what we don't know.
Well, here it is very slow
It's
because
pretty slow, and in many cases, black might just prevent it. So it might not even ever happen. Like, I guess the slowest would be that it's never happening. That,
but also what we want to say about the minority attack is that if you don't do something over there, what are Sam's rooks doing? All right, knight d3 played. I was pondering knight h5. I didn't really understand it.
yeah.
And now the big question, I'd be very impressed if you were a GM today with King G7, Mr. Pruess. Because that would be a hell of a drug right there, King G7. My old man view of the position was, to do things like rook e8, rook e7 first. But if you play g5, you clearly have something in mind
Right.
when you do this. I like the romanticism of King G. King G7 is a romantic move. King G7, rook h8, h5.
Yeah, I mean, King G7 is also an example of the kind of aggression that you get from grandmasters. They're not playing, stupid 1800s gambits on move 2 and 3. But when they think you've drifted, they will, become more bloodthirsty than an 1800 player. They'll just throw that stuff at you. How good is the e5 square for the knight is a question coming in.
The b5 square for the knight?
King G7, by the way, Jesse. The e5 square.
Damn, you're a GM today, but you might even be super GM today. Look at you, man. King G7.
I've been around the block by now, Jesse. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about this amazing position. Black is game. So one of the things actually to say about it is it's not just an attack, but it's like an engine of territorial growth on the king side.
Exactly.
Important to say. Like we don't necessarily need to mate white. We just want to crimp that whole side of the board and say that's where our pieces want to do their business. We could even characterize it a little bit as prophylaxis in the sense that when we expand territorially on the king side, it makes it harder for white to do anything active like f3, e4, or f4. When you can see right now, like that would be suicidal, either of those two plans. And white's like minority attack, I just don't think it's happening. Well, first of all, I don't know what I still, Sam, I still don't understand what your intentions are here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm not certain, Jesse, that f4 is suicidal here for white. I'm just going to say my verdict's not 100% in on the move f4. I could imagine f4 somehow still being a move here.
Okay.
Even f3 could still be a move here. Not 100% clear to me. I think this question from David Blom about the e5 square is important, right? Like the knight on e5 would be amazing, except black has f6. Is there anything wrong with f6 for black? I don't yet see any downside really that prevents black from playing f6, although the pawn on f6 changes some of the communication lines for black's pieces.
Repo Daddy says, you're dressed a little like Where's Waldo with those sleeves, bro. So maybe you're extra good at finding things today.
Yeah.
And I'm with Chess Lover. We got to try to make sense out of those rooks.
Yeah.
One
Teddy,
thing
this shirt is called a marinière.
Oh my God.
And it's standard fare in Normandy in France.
A marinière.
Marinière from the word marin, person who sails the sea.
Oh, a mariner shirt. Okay.
Was Waldo French? No. Get that American culture out of your head. Don't make it a global culture.
You jerk.
Sam's played something quickly. Hang on. Let's see what it is. Boom. Knight c5.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Plunks a knight. Rooks, still have to explain how they're going to be felt.
And here, I think Rook H8 is the most natural follow-up, but H5, maybe you could even do it now.
You were saying rook h8, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I guess I just want to say I don't understand, like, I don't know what to do as white, but I don't really understand knight C5 because I don't think you're threatening anything.
I guess he's thinking on knight e5, folks, there's always going to be f6 eventually, and he doesn't see a downside to f6. So, he gets the knight out of the way of the third rank. Maybe he'll just play f3 e4, Jesse, like a central counter to a wing demonstration. So rook h8, f3, h5, and then maybe just like e4, just blowing the joint with the pawn sack as soon as h5 comes in.
But before even in that position, if we just play like rook a e8, I think that rook wants to go to e7 anyway. So, I mean, a basic move to play, and then and I'm assuming anytime white plays rook b3 or something here, like rook h8, rook b3, we just play rook b8 and say what,
Well, I mean, I would throw in rook a3 at this point.
You could, and I assume a6 happens.
Okay.
You play rook b3.
Yep.
I play rook b8, and I say what?
You go back to b8 with that boy?
Oh no! I'm sorry. If you're gonna give me rook e8, I'm gonna play rook e7. I was
Rook
thinking
e7? Okay, I thought you might go bishop c8, but rook e7, that looks very flexible.
I had a different position in my mind when I said.
Yeah.
I was thinking actually the immediate. So if rook h8, rook a3, I was talking about that thing. Yeah. So yeah, the d6 knight, amazing, covering the b7 square. We got h5 on the board. I feel a mild GM because I was like, you know what? Is he really going to take that thing?
Yeah.
And he says, no, you're not taking it.
Hey, house line.
House line's here.
Yeah, h5. So I was thinking about this position briefly as well. Queen h5, rook h8, queen to maybe f3, rook h4. And black's idea is you double rooks on the h file. At some point, white plays h3 to try and deaden the file, and then black just plays g4. So they're just saying, it's my area, it's my side of the board. You can't even capture hanging pawns in this area anymore.
Well, and also, Mr. Pruess, like queen h5, g4, you got some problemitos and casitos. Maybe you can play something weird there, like f4 or something. But, I think there's multiple reasons why queen h5 might be.
Okay, even an immediate tactical thingamabobber, perhaps. Even without a thingamabobber, though, it's kind of black's free to play like this. So.
And let me just stress, the old timer in me really wanted black to be like, all this is cool, but I wanted him to play rook e8, e7 first. And because it just feels like the classic thing where you're rushing the pawns before you fix your coconuts.
Yeah.
But I don't see anything wrong with it. And one of the reasons I don't see anything wrong with it is I don't know what Sam is doing.
No,
I don't understand strategically what he is doing.
Yeah.
What he is doing.
Well,
all right, I'm going to negative 0.3. I'm going negative point. It might even be more. I think from a strategic sense, it's even more because it's like I don't know what I'm doing.
The problem is it's like drifting so badly, right? And you have to do something, and you don't know what to do, and.
I mean, even here, I might be like, oh, this is really bad, and I gotta like trade bishop d3 just to do something.
Right, and then we've played bishop f1, bishop d3.
Yeah, look, what am I doing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Penko might crank our boy here today, bud.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it happens. Sometimes you get cranked. You play a weird move like Rook FC1 and you don't know what you're doing. You have an idea and it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
I'm sure Queen D1 also came originally with the thought that I'm going to be touching the H5 square. And he's like, no, you're not taking that thing, buddy.
Yeah.
I would strongly look at Queen H5 just because I feel desperate. And if I could messy the position a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
I would like to.
Right.
All right, Mr. Bruce, I'm gonna take it and you knock me out. Okay?
Yeah.
Queen H5.
What? Okay. All right. G4.
And I like what this Rainbow Teddy's saying. At least I have something to suffer for. All right, at G4, I think I might live after F4. I don't know.
Okay. He might live. He might live. He might live. But if he lives, it will be hard to live with him. All right. Rook H8.
Okay. Queen G5 check.
Takeovich. Takeovich.
Mm-hmm.
Rook E8.
E8. Mm-hmm. And then, okay, so let's try to assess. You're saying you're going to calmly win the pawn back, and then I am a little worse, a lot worse. What's the assessment?
Considerably worse. At least minus 0.5 now. You drop 2/10 of a pawn for a pawn that you held for one move.
Well, I'm still up the pawn.
Ah, it's gone.
Okay. I mean, I don't like it. I'm just saying that like, what do I do here, man? At least with Queen H5, I can kind of put the game down a forcing path. If I if I just sit, I don't know what I'm doing.
Don't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what he's doing. How about we start with Rook B3 before Black has Bishop C8?
All right, Rook B3. We'll play Rook
We'll trade
B8.
sides. I'll defend Sam's
Okay.
not honor, but position. Rook B3.
All right, so Rook B8.
Rook B8. Queen D2.
Queen D2. Where are you going, bud?
A5, and then A7.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'll play Queen E7.
Queen E7. All right, the first concession.
I don't know. It doesn't feel like a concession to me, but
Rook E1. Yeah, Rainbow Teddy, you can meet b4 with b5 in a lot of these positions, then just plop the knight on c4.
Okay, so let's just pause for a second here. So in these variations, Bruce is trying to make something tactically happen with some wild E4 business. And I feel for him. He gotta try something, man. Oh,
I'm not necessarily going as crazy as you think. I'm just trying to stay alive, Jesse. Trying to
uh-huh.
stay
Okay.
alive, and I'm trying to say, like, if you overcommit to your kingside stuff, there will be scenarios where I can play e4, even if it's not amazing. I'll still
Hmm.
be in the game. I'm just trying to put up resistance, the kind of resistance that you would expect from these dudes, right? They put up hell of resistance just because a position's minus zero point 0.2, minus zero point 0.3. That's where I might drift in a tournament, but these guys, they hang in there.
Yeah.
Nadorf Nomad asking what was Sam hoping to get given his choice of opening. I mean, his choice of opening was the Queen's Gambit, so, he probably had specific prep against various variations of it, was hoping to get certain specific ideas. At this point, the preparation is not like, ooh, I'm going to get a Carlsbad structure and my opponent doesn't know how to play it. The idea is he's got specific, very, very, very specific position specific concepts planned at move 15 of, 6 different variations or 16 different variations, something that he thinks, is hard for a human to play correctly. And he didn't
Okay,
get one
guys,
of them today.
we got to move here. He played after 9 minutes A4, which also
Ooh,
feels like a drifting move, but
ooh.
I understand the pain.
Okay.
I understand the pain.
Yeah. Yep. He's in some serious Esapenko here. Is poor Shanky.
So, okay, let's talk about it. Black, it does pose a question for Black, which is good.
Mm.
Do you, Mr. Black, want to play the natural A5? Looks very good. Or do you want to continue your march with like H4 or Rook H8, something like that?
And if you play A5, Shanky might go knight B3, rook C5 or something and try and like keep some of your forces away from his king.
Good point. Yeah. Hmm.
Or he might even just try and break with B4.
All right, so let's talk. So let's imagine H4 is just the most natural move, just to see if White has an idea here.
Yeah.
So the first thought is that on H4, Sam wants to play B4.
That he was somehow setting that up. Um. Okay, we have to check B5 for black there. Well, Knight or Nomad, White would love to storm the black king side, but right now White's pieces are pretty much locked out of the king side, so there's no way to do that.
Here I feel maybe I can get at least an interesting game. We would play, so I play knight D3.
Knight D3.
Hmm.
Okay. Bishop takes D3. Bishop takes D3. Knight C4.
Okay, but I'm not doing that badly. Yeah,
You're,
here I'm alive.
you're not doing well.
I don't think I'm that much worse now.
Okay.
I
It's
can
true that
always
even a
transfer.
single trade is giving you room to put your queen on G4, for example, and just,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
plop in there on the king
Okay,
side.
hold on. So let's try this again. A4.
Yeah.
Let's try H4 again. So the question with A4 is B4 really a thing now?
Okay.
Maybe it's a thing.
I mean, black's attack is still quite a ways off, folks. Sam has a long time before a terrible threat materializes on the king side.
Okay, here's the next question I have. Is something that working with the computers kind of shown me, I talked about this a little bit yesterday, is The computer hates allowing h3 in just about every position. It just despises it. So I'm going to play h3 as if I were a computer.
Okay.
By the way, fans, yesterday when we were doing the game, um, Sam had the ability to play h6 and he didn't. And I was like, I bet the computer wants h6. And I checked it later. And yes, sir. It was true. He did.
Mm.
Yeah. So by the way, after eight, if on a4, h4, Sam could play like h3 there. He
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to play b4. But so anyways, I think I want to check h3 to see if
Yeah.
David feels uncomfortable. He could change his mind and play h3, I guess.
Yeah. First, we have to figure out if I care. All right, I'm going to ask a question of your bishop with g4. Just a little Kostyatsk.
Mr. Pruess is known as a madman.
Just lashing out, you know. Just lashing out. You know what my claim is, Jesse?
I've I don't know if I want to know. All right, I don't know. Bishop e4.
Bishop e4. That's the kind of move that dreams are made of.
No, I don't think you wanted this, buddy.
Oh, but I did. But I did. Okay, bishop e2.
But Bruce, let's look at this position. This is the full nasty. This is the full nasty now.
Okay.
Probably a6.
a6. f3.
I don't know, bishop g6.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know. That's what we like to hear. Queen e1. How
You
do you
know,
feel?
like I feel great. I
Oh,
feel like yeah, let me put the pawn on h3. Let me defend White's honor.
no, no, no. I'm still working you.
No, you're not working
I'm not
anybody,
done till
buddy.
you've felt it. So let's keep going. Queen e1.
He wants to like steal my pawn or something. It's just like
Me?
gross.
Me harass an innocent Panovich?
Yeah, you're a known criminal in this regard. Okay, I at least want to go back and think about it through. So a4, h4.
Mm-hmm.
I think White needs to play h3. Okay, let me just make the argument. So the to my head, it's like a slightly different thing. I think the question for Black playing h4 is, could White play h3 and plug me on the g4 square?
You mean prevent a break ever with bishop e2 and just controlling that square?
Yeah, I think that's the big question for Black on whether or not he should play h4 directly.
Yeah, maybe, but I'd rather ignore you. I'll play your b4 move.
Oh, all right. Um, all right, h3,
h3.
g4, bishop g4, bishop e2. All right, we'll play the game. Play the
Thank you.
game.
Thank you.
Um, well, just so that you could feel some pain, let's put the bishop on g2.
Okay,
That's
new
a nice
move.
move.
New move. Bishop G2.
I was happy with my position too, but I just want you to resign so we can look at
I'm
something.
sure you were happy with the position that you just resigned by switching to a different
I
line.
didn't resign anything.
Boy 5.
Boy, 5. And then is B6 gonna kill?
I don't know.
Let's take first on B5.
Oh, you take first? Takes.
Sure.
Pawn takes.
On
B6.
take B. It's the first question anyway.
Okay. Knight, dog 3.
I'll play knight takes B5.
Oh, now who's a dirty pawn grubberino?
I'm just doing basic things.
All right.
I'm
Queen
I'm not
C6.
doing anything fancy. Either rook D6 or knight D6. I don't know.
That's the thing about chess. You don't know, but eventually you have to choose.
All right, rook D6.
All right. Rook D6. Knight E5.
All right. Rook takes. I don't know. I mean, you're down a pawn. You're not. I guess you're threatening my knight.
Rook
Okay,
takes.
so rook takes.
Rook takes.
Knight D6.
Knight D6.
Yeah, wake me up when you have a threat, bud.
Hai. Sono torida. Sono tsumorida. All right, Queen A4. I have a threat. Oh boy, I got multiple threats. Do I have to tell you all my threats too?
I don't know.
My
I don't know
tongue
what
might
they
get
are.
tired.
I don't know what they are.
Rook takes B6, Queen to A3, and Knight to D7.
Yeah, so we're just gonna calmly play Queen D8.
Very calm retreat, yeah. What do you give as a gift to the man who has nothing?
I got the pawn and the compensation.
Pawn and the Kompenskiatsk.
Okay, we got to move H4 on the board.
H4 on the board.
And
All right.
and let me just defend White's honor here. So the question I have is, can I play H3? And I want to say a couple things about H3. So a grief of H3 is that later with an eventual 94, I get it. There's some questions before we hit 94. H3, I played immediately, Mr. Pruess.
Okay. You got one, Jesse. You got one.
GM today. To me, it was obvious. To me, it was obvious. Okay. Okay, but let me continue this discussion. So, yes, it might be true that black doesn't immediately get any kind of G4 fanciness in because I'm going to play bishop E2 next. But now, if a later knight E4, F3, on F3 he has knight G3. So just a standard thing that goes down when you get H3 on them.
On principle, I don't move pawns like this, you know, because there's always some kind of consequence, some square that you're giving up down the road.
And let's just say in the if we were if I was sparring against a normal person and black had played H3, white would have played G3, not G4. But you know, he wanted to be frisky. Yeah. Again, I want to stress this thing about H3. There's so many positions now where the computer is like, don't allow it. And back in the day, the reason to not play H3, there's a lot of reasons not to do it. There's the G3 square, and then of course, if black ever organizes G4, it looks like we just gave him a hook. So there's a classical school of thought, which is like, dude, as Pruess said, don't move your pawns in front of your king.
Yeah. And although you're a GM today, Jesse, I'm sure when we computer check this, eventually it'll say white shouldn't have played H3.
No, white. Dude, this is what I'm trying to tell you about the computer. The computer really does not want the pawn on H3 for white and loves it for black.
Like, I'm still holding out hope that you're wrong.
Yeah, you're still playing chess from like 1985.
Jesus, man. Jesus, man. I didn't even know how to play chess in 1985, unlike you.
It's true. Um, but that position I thought looked really nasty for you, and I thought it was like, we all have our dogmas and we all want to defend it, but like
Yeah.
once the bishop got to G2, it was like Bruce, jeez, Malise, buddy, take it back, dude, do it, take it back.
Ja, jawohl.
Okay, I think I have what do I have mine at negative point 0.3 or something like that. What I do like about White's position now is it is a question about how does black play? Like what now it's like the first position if I'm black where I'm like, okay, now I have to do maybe a little calculation, figure out what's going on. Now it becomes kind of move by move kind of, you know.
If knight e4 here thing from space, I would expect white to trade that knight.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to play knight e4 because think about it this way, the knight on c5 is kind of a tourist, whereas the knight on d6 is a real champ. He controls b7. He does all kinds of things.
I mean, the knights are probably worth within a tenth of a pawn of each other, so you may be overstating that a little bit.
No, I think
Tourist versus champ.
you're not really doing anything over there with your knight. Okay, but okay, okay, we'll put 94 as a candy move. We also have, let's talk about, we have, of course, we still have a5. We still have rook e87, and we have the most direct move, which is queen g6. On queen g6, white could consider both bishop e2 and bishop d3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, technically, rook g8's even a candidate move. That would be in Teddy's direction.
Yeah,
But
okay, good.
we
Good
need to
question.
we need to come up with a concept, Teddy and any other fans of Esipenko. You need to come up with a concept for how you're going to get g4 in if white plays bishop e2, right? So, like, if you play rook g8 and white plays bishop e2, and then you just sit there staring at, your rook and your g5 pawn, we need something more there for black.
All right, Mr. Pruess, I want to make let's try a5 out here. So we of course we could a5 is just saying white you really blew it, and I'm not afraid of your knight b3 rook c5 thing.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me try one weird move, and then we'll go back into the normal realm. b4.
Okay. All right. AB.
Rook b3.
Okay, so that is okay, very spicy. He's saying that like b6.
I haven't calculated b6. I was just thinking if you don't play b6 and white plays rook b4, then white's position's probably correct. So I figured we would get here, you would play b6, and then we'd find out if I'm cranked or not.
Okay, fair enough. So you might be able to do this. Uh, hmm.
Do you see a move other than b6 we should
No, I'm just
check?
calculating what's
You're,
going to go
you're
down
looking
on
ahead,
b6.
right? b6,
Sorry, yeah.
there's knight d3 or knight a6.
Yeah, I think knight d3 was the one I was spending time
With
on.
knight d3 looking more sensible, but, if rook a4 is a problem, maybe we have to calculate knight a6. I was sort of worried about knight a6, knight e4, with ideas of knight f2 and knight c3. But let's start with knight d3. A safe move. I'll just mention that against rook a4, rook c6, I don't feel too bad for white there.
I agree with that. Yeah, if I get rook c6 in, I should be kind of happy.
So we'll probably want something fancier from black right here. Here's one really direct line that doesn't really seem to pan out. Black could trade all the minor pieces. Gives white time for rook b4. Oh, there is c5 though. Hello. Well, that's very playable for black, actually. Surprisingly, that c5 move
Yeah, the c5 is always going to be a big idea.
made things interesting. I wonder if white could play rook b5, though, instead of the sad rook c4. You see what I mean? Like, could white play rook b5 and say, basically, when you play cd4, I play queen h5, and then...
That's a thought, yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know how deep we want to go on that. That's not the most obvious line. Knight d3.
I like your a5 b4 thing. I think that's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, knight d3. What other moves does black have that could ruin us? Knight e4 immediately. Rook b4, c5 in a slightly more hectic position. Pawn takes, knight c5, knight f2.
Okay, Mr. Bruce, I got a different idea. How about this? b6, knight d3, and now knight e4.
b6, knight d3, knight e4.
Yeah.
That's what I was just looking at.
Oh, good, good.
a5's been played, by the way.
Oh, GM today.
So rook b4 after knight e4, Jesse. Yeah.
Okay,
This is
so
all relevant, folks, because we are
yeah.
guessing the moves so far.
Now it's especially relevant. Before he played a5, I was like, that's just one of many candidate moves, but now it is very relevant.
Yeah.
So, yeah, b6, knight d3, knight e4. You're playing rook b4, and then c5.
That's what I tried for you. DC.
Pawn takes.
Knight takes.
And then knight f2.
Knight f2. Maybe queen f3.
Good question. Oh, okay. Good question.
Now, let me just mention before we get too deep into anything. Another candidate move for white there is queen d4 with an endgame.
I think white's surviving this, by the way. Queen d4 or queen f3.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do it.
It's not in the range of losing for white. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
There's some mayhem, and I don't know for sure who's better, but the margin for whoever's better is probably less than half a pawn. So nobody's like in critical condition yet. You want to go back to knight d3? And
Let's go back to rook b3 just for a second. I just want to stare at it.
Yeah. Fair.
Okay, here's another move that I just think should be calculated. So
Okay.
instead of b6, what about b5?
Okay. And by the way, we're going I would approach this position largely move by move, but one general trend of this position, Jesse, is both white rooks suddenly woke up and they're
Very true. Very true. And b5 I don't like because instead of even calculating ab, you could just play rook b4 and we know you're okay.
yeah. b4 played.
Okay, b4 played. You're a GM today.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is yeah, as you said, move by move. And as long as we get away with this, this is very good news for Sam.
Yeah. In fact, I'm going to drop my evaluation from minus 0.3 to minus 0.1.
Yeah, I might be with you. I still want to see. Black obviously believed when we played a5 that we would have something here, but maybe we don't.
Yeah.
All right, here first let me try the positional variation, just as it might be a default. So AB, rook b4, knight e4. Now, by the way, I'm not 100% that you can't play knight b7. Maybe you can play knight b7.
I was planning knight e4 here, though, so
Yeah, okay.
you can remain calm for the moment.
Actually, knight b7, rook a4, I'm at least doing okay. So knight takes e4. Let's calmly take with.
By bishop,
I have a choice. I got a choice there. All right, I'll take the bishop.
Yeah. I'm going to take back the pawn on b4.
Rook d7.
Rook d7. Rook c3.
Interesting. What's your intention with rook c3?
Rook cb3.
Okay, well.
And just general improvement of the rook, I'm fortifying e3 and I didn't have a ton to do, nor did you, but like I might need to play f3 at some point, so the e-pawn will be defended.
Okay, so let's just say that this is a structure that black could get, and optically it looks like black is a little bit better, but it also seems like there might not be any problems for white.
My general understanding of this position is that it's fully comfortable for white.
Okay, so b4.
I think your bishop on e4 is meh, and the b pawn and the a pawn are comparably weak. So, where are the pieces which are attacking the white king here? Good question, Pseudo B. The answer is there's not really an attack on the white king here for the moment.
So a, b, rook b3.
As Jesse said, g5 and h4 doesn't have to be a direct attack on the king. It can be you had a great term for it, like a space, what was it?
A territorial grab or something like that.
Yeah. Jesse had a great phrase for it. The moment I heard it, I was like, yes, that's what it is. I'll have to watch the VOD. But some kind of a territorial thing, a mechanism for stealing territory.
Now, I want to say, if I was black here, I might be a little upset because I feel like he didn't have to play a5. And b4 feels like, okay, maybe I am complicating the game in a way that might be a little unpleasant for my opponent here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, our evaluation is fairly close to equal, folks, but there's still a push and pull of ideas, where each player is trying to get a grip on things, try and get a grip on the opponent, start controlling them, putting some pressure on them. So there's a lot of tugging back and forth. And, you definitely can have a lot of emotions during the game, right? Where you feel like, shoot, he's starting to do something, or I'm starting to do something, or this is slipping. So for the players, they're not keeping an even balanced evaluation the whole time, right? For them, stuff's going on. Another way to play this position, instead of rook c3, Jesse, by the way, the final move of our variation, another way to play this kind of position is you go rook c5, and then you play a5, a6, and try and crack the c6 square.
Okay, yeah.
You can play rook b6 as well, once your pawn's on a5, rook's on c5. And you try and play an a6 break at some point to then win back the pawn on either a6 or c6. That's another way to put pressure on your opponent. And that's all stuff black has to get ready to deal with. And I think using the bishop on e4 is a very tough question for this kind of position. Because it's kind of like the active bad bishop is how I think the Silman school characterizes that piece, the active bad bishop. And it's tricky because it's on what looks like a good square, but it has limited options, and making use of it is a fancy thing.
It's also looking like a4 was a very cool idea from Sam. It was at least an idea, right? We were struggling to find an idea, and he found an idea.
And a4 is one of the few moves this game we did not predict, right? So that's a big deal right there, that move, a4, from Shankland a couple moves ago. And he spent 9 minutes on it. They've spent 9 minutes on a bunch of moves, Jesse, as if 9 minutes was kind of like a rule they each have for the maximum time to spend on a non-tactical tactic. If you scan through
Hmm.
the game, you see they spent 9 minutes on like four or five moves this game. So Shanklin, he definitely put some thought into this A4. Esipenko spent 9 minutes on his response H4, and there was this idea A5 to answer it with B4. If not A5, potentially Sam was going to play B4, B5 with the A pawn just preparing that minority attack. And let me ask you briefly about the clocks, Jesse. We've been all about the position so far.
Hmm.
There's been a lot of posturing, and 9 minutes spent on a non-tactical move is a little bit of a big deal. I think Esipenko spent 9 minutes on Rook D8. Shanklin spent 9 minutes on some move in the opening as well. How do you feel like they're doing on the clock here? 22. They're at move 22. 18 or 19 moves to make.
I think it's going to be, it's going to come down to a thing where time is very important, and like there's this one's a big decision for Black. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different options for Black here to do. There's the whole B6 madness, and then there's all kinds of other positional things, approaches that he needs to weigh.
Perhaps he can also play B6 before taking on B4, and that's one of the reasons he's spending his time right here.
Okay, let me try one more idea just to give a different look. So after Rook B3, AB, Rook B3, let me try the very basic Rook E8.
Rook
I'm
E8, a
assuming
basic move. Let's say we recapture, which is very basic.
Rook B8 and then Rook E7.
Then Rook E7. My quick answer to my own question, Jesse, and I'm sorry, we'll get into your Rook E7 in a second. My own
Yeah.
answer is I think they're getting mildly in the direction of time trouble. Like they've spent
Oh yeah.
quite a lot of time invested in this
Hmm.
kind of posturing phase of the game. And I think that there's, a 50% to 75% chance that we get some hectic moves at some point here where they don't have enough time for it.
Oh yeah, I totally agree.
So I'd say they've gone a little bit too slow for my taste. Okay, so let me see your Rook E7. It's my move for white. So yeah, you've got your posture here. You've kept knights on the board, so my Rook C1 is still yeah. And you've kept your supposed champion. They only get 30 minutes added at move 40, Kiternach. And they do have the 30-second increment throughout. So Jesse goes Rook E7. My first option might be Rook C3 to B3 again. Let me try Queen B3 this time. I don't know why. I'm going to do it a
Well,
little
okay, so
different.
on Rook C3, if you
Mm-hmm.
delay Queen B3, I can play Rook A E8 and follow it with Bishop C8.
Oh, man, my instinct came in.
Now, Queen B3, the drawback that at least I was thinking maybe Black could play for is now you've at least left the G4 square for half a second.
True. But you're not feeling brave enough to sack your B pawn here, are you?
Well, I was going to play Rook A7 and say my Rook's a little funny there, but I just want to see what you want to do now
Okay,
after
fair
Rook
enough.
A7.
I wanted to see if that rook was going to go to A7. By the way, we got a move, which is going to be
AB4, yep.
the AB4, Rook B3
B3.
instantly.
And now it's Esipenko's. I would say this is the in fact the critical position. He probably already has a sense of what he's going to do. He spent
Yeah.
10 minutes on AB. I think it's a very difficult decision. So there's all the B6 stuff. There's the Rook E8, E7 stuff that I just mentioned. There's the Knight E4 stuff. So all of this stuff is on the table for Black. And the
If
nice thing for White is like, well, I had to do it. I had to do it because I had to do something.
if he doesn't play his next move after Rook B3 in 30 seconds or so, then it's showing that he's low on confidence in his position. Because he just
I
spent
don't
10
know.
minutes taking on B4. He came up with a plan. You play AB4, your opponent's obviously playing Rook B3. If you haven't planned your response to Rook B3, it means you're just hesitating. You're just not sure what's going on.
But it's a hard choice. This is like the critical moment strategically for Black. Like he feels, I bet that he should be better, and he's like, I need to find the plan where I maintain this edge.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of times how you get in trouble because you're like, I'm trying to find this plan and then I don't find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think my plan here against rook b6, now that I remember, I think my plan was against rook a7. I think it was rook b6. He's played b6 now.
B6, he went for it. So
Spent,
this is the most contentious of the
yeah,
lines here.
but he spent 120 on it. So I'm going to argue, rightly or wrongly, that Esipenko is not confident here.
Oh, 1 minute's not that bad, but this is a hectic position. You
That's
need
my read, Jesse. That's my read on time
That's your read.
usage.
Okay. Now, okay, let's forget about all those other variations and we'll ask
And
knight d3, what is black's intention after knight d3?
yeah. And to me, confidence is a big deal, Jesse. I feel like there's two games being played on chess all the time, right? One game is, are you getting a better position than your opponent? And the other game is who is more confident than who? Who is more confident? Big old game.
One nice thing about that thing from Esipenko is that gave Sam time to really think this through.
Mm-hmm.
Knight d3 as expected. And I don't know yet what to expect from black. I don't know yet what he wants. Oh, there's so many different tries, but none of them have really made sense to me yet.
Yeah, let me introduce one new variation for you, Jesse, that I just came up
Yeah.
with. It's kind of interesting. Bishop d3, knight e4, bishop e4, d e4. Last time around in this position, I played rook takes b4, c5.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then I didn't go too deep into it, but it was interesting. Here I'm going to try another idea, queen g4.
Okay, but I just want to say about that position,
Yeah.
black can't be happy with that position because rook b4 is fine for
Okay.
white.
All right.
And yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you also have to worry about some queen g4 thing.
Bishop d3 has just been played, so my variation's becoming more relevant. Okay. Because I think the plan would be
Holy
knight
shit.
e4.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're a
knight
GM
e4.
today, buddy.
Yeah.
You're
So-
a GM today.
So let me just show you what I've noticed about queen g4, okay? Of course, we can play rook b4, and it's playable and complicated, but this would be after bishop e4, d e4 is where I think Sam might think between queen g4 and rook b4, or maybe he's going to pre-plan it because he knows bishop e4. Of course, black plays d e4, so maybe here he'll do the think. But this is the decision. I mean, I think he pretty much has to take the knight, I think. To me, the decision's on this next move. So, let me just explain. Queen g4, attacking the e-pawn, but the idea is to play rook b4 without allowing c5.
And your idea is also if rook a4, you want to rook c6 me.
Exactly. So the detail that I was noticing was it allows rook a4, which would be tragic, except rook c6, hitting the queen. Let's assume queen c6 is forced, queen g5 check, and now I get either d8 or h4 with check, so I get both of them wherever you go, right? And I don't know, it looks very playable for white. I've got a perpetual in my back pocket and an open king to play against. Maybe queen c2 is a draw. Maybe that forces the repetition.
All right, we got bishop e4 on the table, d e4, and now queen g4 is interesting. By the way, I think that queen g4 very interesting, but black, I think when he went down this road, is got to be unhappy about it because I think he felt he had a better position, and whether or not, whatever we believe on queen g4, rook b4 looks like white's just fine.
Yeah. I think white's definitely fine. Can I adjust your evaluation down a little bit?
Yeah, you can put me at zeros, and maybe your queen g4 will convince me that black has some problemitos. I don't know yet.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this. If I had to pick a side right now without calculating deeply, I would pick white's side. Because I think the g-pawn it wants to go back to g6 or g7 now. Shanklin has achieved that much, right?
All right, we got to move. Rook takes b4.
And just the time usage is signaling to me as well, like a shift in the players here, where Shanklin is the one feeling more confident. So
Here, by the way, I feel like this position, I'm far less worried about time pressure. And let's just assume that neither player thought of queen g4. The queen g4 maybe is no big thing. And black could say to himself, well, I couldn't find anything else. And now after c5, I can argue maybe that I have a nominal advantage that probably isn't going to lead anywhere, but I have a nominal advantage.
C5 played pretty quickly. I think he had to play C5, Jesse, because otherwise I
Yeah.
think he ends up much, much worse. Like, B6 is hanging, but any move from the white queen, C2, G4, whatever,
Yeah.
black's in really bad shape. And Sam played so quickly with rook B4, I wonder if queen G4 wasn't better.
I don't fully believe in queen g4, but it's a very interesting idea.
All right.
Yeah.
So now there's again a choice between rook C4 and rook B5. Chess lovers pointed out a potential defense for black against rook b5 of rook a5 at some point. So rook b5, cd4, queen h5, rook a5 avoids getting absolutely stomped for
Good
the
move,
moment.
yeah.
But white does still have the theme of rook c6 there. So it's at least okay for white.
Rook c6 is clever,
Yeah,
yeah.
queen c6, queen g5 check, king h7, queen g5 check, king g7, and then maybe rook takes a5, and pawn takes a5, queen d8. Looks like white is up a pawn to me. Safely up a pawn. That's my take.
Rook b5 is an interesting move. Oh, so by the way, I feel like if I was Esipenko, maybe the story I told myself is on rook c4, cd4, maybe I have a nominal advantage. Okay, so first, Mr. Bruce, let me just make that claim that after rook c4, black is a touch better on c takes d4.
Okay, so rook bc4, cd4. Now, I think white probably plays pawn takes d4 because the a pawn needs to be defended, right? So white
Okay,
plays
so
ed4.
in that position, I just want to make the claim that black is better because
Yeah.
the I have potential to maybe mess with your king with a later queen f4 or something like that.
I agree with you. I don't like this position. I feel like, e3 is always potential to tear open my king.
Okay, good.
And I don't
So
like my
we're
my rooks here that much.
okay, so we're agreed on that. So let's play your rook b5 and let's just see if black can come up with something here.
Okay.
Rook b5 played. You're GM today.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, he's played
so
it pretty quickly. I got to say, Shanklin has played these moves quite quickly as far as all the recaptures on d3 and e4, the choice between rook b4 or queen g4, and now rook b5 relatively quickly. And here does Esipenko have moves other than pawn takes pawn? Because pawn takes pawn, queen h5 seems like, yeah, maybe just blundering. Maybe we need something else.
well, hold on. Let me try pawn takes pawn just for a
Okay.
second. So pawn takes pawn,
Yeah.
queen h5.
Yeah.
Could I play rook h8?
Rook h8.
I
What?
don't really believe this, but maybe no, I don't believe this. Queen g5 is completely fine for white, so I don't believe it.
King f6 there?
You might have something better than that, but I just think that's completely fine for white because you got
Rook
rook g4.
b5.
Yeah, rook b5, rook g4, it all looks fine.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
You're playing for a draw as black here.
yeah. All right, rook b5.
Well, I would say this for black. At least with queens off the board, you're less likely to get completely rocked. I think you should, and I think that Andre at this point is, you should think like how to not lose for black in this position. You should not be too aggressive anymore. You have to recognize when your advantage is gone and stop chasing it.
All right, I don't know. I'm gonna try rook d6, Mr. Bruce.
After rook b5, we got a new move.
Mhm.
Rook d6. Okay. So if I play queen g4, where do you go?
I'm gonna try rook a4.
Rook a4. Okay, I trade on c5 because Mama said.
And rook d2.
Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay,
I still don't know, rook f1 or something, but rook f1, maybe rook a1.
ay. Mm-hmm.
Mama doesn't know.
Yeah. Okay, rook b6, queen f2, king h1.
Oh my God. Okay.
And I guess queen g3 is at least a draw.
Well, queen g3, queen e4, and who knows what's happening. Oh no, there's no queen e4, yeah. So yeah, queen g3, who knows?
Maybe I should play king h2 to prevent queen g3,
All
honestly.
I'll tell you this, Mr. Pruess. It could be a lot of different things, but it's not just some immediate draw. Yeah, maybe king h2. That because you might be winning with the c pawn.
Yeah. I got the c pawn and your king. Two different hopes here. Someone's
Okay,
saying
so
I could have
wait,
taken on b6 with my pawn instead of my rook, maybe? Oh, I like
wait.
that much better, Jesse. Look at that, cb6 instead of rook b6. Oh, that's a killer.
So okay, let's be clear. The hope for black now, it's a very complicated situation, is if CD4, Queen H5, no bueno. So you got to say to yourself, okay, the queen wants to move, and when she moves, then I get to tag the A4 pawn.
My entire thought process here for black would be, where can I trade queens? If I don't get queens off this board, I am going to fall apart. I'm going to blunder something on my king. Shanklin in this position, by the way, also potentially threatening a5, as well as the more obvious queen g4. Just because a5, rook a5, rook
CD4,
a5.
my friend, CD4, no fear, no fear.
Okay. Well, we
I was
didn't
just
we didn't
thinking
really come
about
up
it
with
too.
any alternative, did we?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if we came up with a move for black after Queen H5. That's
Okay.
what I didn't have.
Well, I think we might be looking at the following idea, Jesse. Queen h5,
Okay. Yeah.
rook a5, rook c6, queen e7. Oh, but I'd never put this position on the board before. White does have the idea of rook bb6 there.
Oh, dude, I have so many ideas. There's like
Introducing
Queen H6 stuff. There's
Matovich.
all. Oh, dude, no, that's not
Doom,
good.
doom, doom.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. We gotta do
I mean,
something. Shanklin's gonna play queen h5. You
okay. I'm just trying to say that looks like death.
looks like death. My evaluation, I gotta put it positive, Jesse. I gotta go 0.75. Honestly, I know that's a big jump, but I just think with queens on the board, black's getting raged.
Okay, wait, time out. I got one more question for
Yeah.
you. So, rook c6, and let's say I play queen takes c6.
Sorry. Rook c6 where after queen
So,
h5.
so queen h5, rook a5, rook c6, queen takes c6,
Yeah. Okay, so that position's queen g5 check.
queen g6.
Oh, queen g6. Little novelty from Jesse. Right. So I got to take the rook on d8.
And here's an amazing feature is that if rook takes b5, you have queen takes d4 check.
Hi.
Now, if rook b5, a b5, maybe black is even better after d3. But I no lo that puedo. So,
Yeah.
so this is a terrifying position then.
Let's see. What did Jesse just do? He played queen c6 against rook c6.
Mm-hmm. Oh, buddy.
Then he got checked and he came back, which looked clever. But then after queen d8, he dropped the pawn on d4. Wait, Jesse, you could move the pawn right there without trading rooks. d3.
Okay, so I was looking at that. Maybe rook takes
Rook
b6.
takes b6, looking to rage you some more. Whew. And you see how good black would be without queens on the board, but with queens.
So yeah, I didn't understand this.
Oy, oy, oy. I mean, where to go? Where to go? Queen f5? Rook b8. No, it's just, I mean, it's just
We're getting raged.
you
Yeah, we're
either
getting.
trade queens in the next two moves or you give up. I mean,
Yeah.
after queen h5, can black survive with d3? We're being asked.
DE3, he says.
de3. Is there mate with the queen on f6 in the face? So like rook g5 check, king f8. How about fe3?
Yeah, yeah, FE3 at any point, and then it's enabling rook F1. So
Playing
rook
with the
D2.
simplicity of the classics.
So rook D2 would, be like the only hope, but then rook F1 and your body slammed.
Oh,
All right, I got to get a coffee. This is amazing.
this is borderline for black. Sam takes back on d4. What the helling hell? What on earth is that move? I did not know anything about chess boxing or 60 Minutes, chess lover. Queen h5 looked like a huge advantage for white. What on earth? Was there rook c6, rook takes b5? Hang on, I thought of one new move for black at least. Queen h5, rook a5, queen f4 played quickly. I think that's going to prevent queen h5 because it's attacking the rook on c1 here. He's trying for... Okay, there's a lot going on right here, folks. And suddenly they're playing really fast, right? Suddenly they're playing very quickly. So it's hard to keep up with. So rook a5, rook c6. Was this the saving move for black? Rook takes b5. If pawn takes, then you can keep playing here. Not so easy for white. And if rook takes f6, I think we just missed this earlier. Check here, here. Check. But this queen versus two rooks looks it's playable for white, playable for black as well. He's not completely raged. I mean, the king's just wandering all over the place and the pawns are dropping. Looks still playable for white. The king could go this direction, then you check here. And so we still pick up a pawn. There's no way to hold them all. And like here, we'll take with check so black doesn't get the d pawn to decide things, right? And then here, I mean, it's like clearly good position for white. In fact, we could, take it with check, take here with check, take here. I mean, it looks very playable for white. I don't know if this was the hectic thing, but we've got to catch up with the game. So Sam's going to play rook c3. I didn't even have the position on the board, and I didn't anticipate this line, but I assumed this move. It frees the queen from queen takes c1, and it stops e3. So, I mean, Esipenko still has to show something that says he's not getting raged by queen h5. And if he plays rook a5, Sam might even just play rook b6 and just say, no trades for now. Okay, I'm accidentally up a pawn as well, maybe. I haven't yet taken down my eval. I haven't changed it down because I mean, I did wonder why he didn't play queen h5, but I hadn't even looked at ed4, so I can't change my eval before I look at anything here. Jesse's eval is still at 0. It's mine that is at 0.75. Maybe in the main line, black can play d3. Can you tell me what's the main line, GM Gilco? Give a perpetual after queen takes c6, queen g5, king h7, queen h4, king g6, queen d8, queen c1, king h2, d3. All right, let me see that 17. Queen d8. No, not this one. Queen takes c6. Queen takes g5. King h7. Queen h4. King g6. Queen here, check, here d3. Well, queen b6 is hanging. You must have a rook trade somewhere in this line. You play maybe rook takes, pawn takes, queen check here, something like this, and the d pawn. Something of this sort is what you have in mind, maybe. And Patrick, you're saying the 2 rooks versus queen position is probably bad for black if they lose g5 and h4, huh? But Asapenko's trying pretty hard to keep his clock healthy. They're playing these moves very quickly, folks.
So did you break it down why he didn't?
I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. We're trying some things. But we had a couple ideas. So first of all, in the position after queen h5, rook a5, rook c6, I thought of one new idea for black, a really big idea, rook takes b5. With the idea if pawn takes b5, queen f5, covering yourself. And if rook takes f6, rook b1, check, king h1, king f6. 2 rooks against the queen.
I got an idea, Mr. Pruess. How insane would it be on queen h5 to play d3?
On queen h5 to not even cover at all and play d3? Yeah. Oh, we looked at d3 there, but not d3. Okay, it looks very insane. I'll start with rook check, king f8, rook f5.
Okay, d2.
d2. Oh, you can still play d2. Man, I was trying to tempo you before you could play d2. All right, rook d1.
Think about this. So queen g6 just loses.
Yep.
Queen b2 loses to f7. So I guess I got to just process of elimination. That's got to be g7.
You got to be g7. Got to stay honest. Now I'll play queen h4.
And also like queen e2, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I don't know what you're doing on queen e2, but this I'm trying to rage you so we don't have to look too hard because.
Okay, in any case, I'm done. I was just trying to find another idea.
I'm stopping activity, keeping black honest on the rook, and I've got the idea of next move rook h5, and if king g8, there's always going to be rook g5. So I'm threatening rook h5. I'm threatening queen e4 with centralization and full pawn collection. And black's just a rag here. Okay, so Jesse, I had the idea of rook takes b5 with the idea of playing 2 rooks against the queen. But even that looked sketchy for black because the king was on the run and pawns were dropping. But that was one idea. And then we had this other idea.
But also, Mr. Pruess, rook b5, you could just play... Oh, I see. AB5, I can play like queen f5.
You can now play queen f5, exactly. And you've just got your business covered. No problems. So I have to go for the 2 rooks versus the queen.
Okay, that's it's at least not immediately obvious what's happening there.
Yeah, although I thought white was still better. I don't know how much you want to see about this because it's in the past and we've got a hectic present to deal with. But after king f6, white has queen h6 check
Okay.
and immediately wins at least one pawn.
Okay, but if I get my pawn to d3, you can.
But I'm going to take the pawn, I'm going to trade on d4 and then take my free pawn. So, I mean, I don't know which way black wants to go, but like king e7, queen g5 is with check.
Okay, so let's say I go king
You
f5.
go king f5, queen h7.
Oh, so you'd repeat?
No,
Oh no, you're gonna.
I'm going to take on e4. If you
Okay. Okay, king e5.
king e5, then I take on d4.
Rook takes.
Rook takes, and then I played queen g7, king d5. Now I can take f7 with check or g5 with check, followed by h4. I didn't go further than this, but the chances are more with white.
I could also play king takes d4 though.
Yeah,
I don't think there's chances.
King
You have
takes
to have something concrete.
king takes d4, queen f7.
Yeah, as long as I'm not hanging a rook, I
That's
should
not
be
the
able
only
to
thing that
here.
can go wrong. You could hang all the pawns because the king's out there.
Okay. So, anyways, I
Yeah,
think though, by the way, I think this is the critical line. So I think we found, at least I didn't find, we didn't, this was the most plausible thing we found.
yeah.
And from my sensibility, I guess I can imagine.
Maybe Shank thinks he's
Concerned
raging
about.
completely, and so he just played like he thought I just play pawn takes d4 and black can't stop queen h5 in one or two moves.
Right. So Queen f4 played. And that's, wait, Queen f4 is a hell of a drug, dude. Okay. So, all right, let's understand this. Well, the point is there's no Queen h5
Yeah,
because our rook's hanging.
yeah,
So now we play Rook c3. We prevent e3, retain Queen h5.
yeah.
And black has several moves, I guess, to think about here.
Now, one thing, folks, is this same position with the white rook on c4 instead of b5. We had evaluated as, if anything, mildly good for black. But with the
Right.
rook on b5, it's very different because that rook is attacking two pawns instead of just
Okay.
sitting
But
on an
why
open
isn't,
file.
oh, let me just try the basic Rook ac8.
Okay, rook ac8. Okay, so you're going after c1 big time. Holy moly. In the words of Jesse, calm down, relax.
Relax,
Relax.
buddy.
All right, we got one move for what? No, I can't do it. Oh my god. I was wondering if I could play g3.
You might need, if I don't know, it looks weird to play G3, I'll tell you that, but
Yeah.
maybe that's I actually
All
I
right,
don't understand.
I need it. I'm going to play g3.
All right, HG.
I can't play with rook g3, can I?
No, I
Can't
think
get
Rook
my
C1,
queen.
it's all over.
Okay. Yeah, the problem, Peshki, is I can't justify my queen. All right, fg3. G3 looks suicidal to chat. Fair enough. It's a little bit of a murder-suicide since both kings are on the
But
way
now
down.
Queen F6, and I'm looking at your D4 square real
Let me look at my
intently.
d4 square. Jesse is a man of looks.
That's not what you wanted.
No, I'm not feeling good. Nowhere near winning. Maybe worse. What am I doing? Rook
Black.
c3, rook ac8. That's super basic.
Super basic, bro. I don't know.
Oh.
Maybe you just got to back it up with Rook BB3 after Rook C8.
But that's disastrous, man.
That's not disastrous. I think I'm not convinced Black's better after Rook BB3. It's you're calling it disastrous because you had so much fun with your Rook on B5.
Yeah. I was getting ready.
It's not actually like white's like getting crushed or
No,
something.
no, but to me at this point a draw is disastrous. I was ready to sail into the sunset with Black's king, with Black's king alongside me.
Black's king alongside me. Black could be better after that too, like the very basic rook c3, maybe queen e5. It's not necessarily pleasant for a peasant.
Ugh, don't remind me.
Actually, that's not so special, but in any case, there's going to be ways for Black to torture us a little bit.
What?
With rook bb3.
Rook d6 played. Rook d6 played.
So I don't know what was wrong with rook ac8.
Is he planning to play queen h5, rook g6, and then
I
say
guess,
we'll
yeah.
now deal with rook a4 and so forth? This position is hectic, very intense. We don't know who's better or why. The why is probably just a series of moves. It's not even like a reason or an idea. It's just a variation.
But now, okay, I would say we could already default to d5 for white, and I don't think I'm getting. I don't know why I'm that concerned.
You would cut off my fifth rank.
Well, I would
may
enable queen d4
as well cut off my heart.
and enable rook c6 as well. Okay, so we are not understanding a lot of things, my friend. There's things that we don't
We
understand.
are team
Like
Nolo
what was
Comprende.
like there was something with rook ac8. We're gonna have yeah. So we'll check with the computer after, but I don't know, man. That looked at least pleasant for black.
Rook takes g5 first is interesting.
Um,
Rook takes g5? What?
where are they talking rook g5? I have an idea on rook ac8, by the way,
Oh my
because
goodness,
maybe
folks! Jesse, I just got a whiff of a clue.
okay,
I'm just guessing it because I
yeah,
couldn't put the chat together fast enough.
yeah,
Rook ac8 g3
yeah.
hg3 rook g5 check. Maybe that's what they're talking about.
Nah, bruv.
No, that's not it.
I mean, White's definitely suffering in that final position. I think though, how about this? Rook a c8, just take on c8, play rook b1 like a normal person, and say I'm fine.
Oh, I don't want to be fine. I want to be glorious. I want to be great. I want to be amazing. Whoever
Take it
told you that I
easy.
wanted to be fine?
Take it easy, bud. Take it easy, man. You don't always have to be full of death.
Look, you play e3 and black's like slightly better. I'm
We're gonna
fighting for
live
my
through that.
draw.
We're gonna live through that. Now, rook
Begging for it.
d6. Rook d6, by the way, that's the move of a man who says he's better. That is the move of a man who is saying he is better.
That was 11 and a half minutes. That was a deep move. They've got 10 moves to play.
Yep.
Being fine is normally fine. Most of the time I'm satisfied with being fine. But then I got a whiff of the pheromones from the Black King and I lost it. I'm sorry. I'm only human. I'm only a chess player. That king, like his kimono was wide open with that pawn on g5. My queen was into h5. I got carried away.
All right, so I'm guessing d5 for white.
d5. Ugh. What a way to live. Oh, I can't get over it. I know I said like you just need to get over it when you're black and your advantage is gone. And now I'm white and I can't get over it.
Okay, David, I'm going to zero. I don't know if I had ever said I don't think I ever
You
committed
left it
because it
at
was too
0.
confusing. Yeah.
And I'm gonna tank my evaluation. I'm losing my taste. Rook d6, queen h5. Okay, we got a question about queen h5. My eyes open again for a moment. Then black plays rook a4. What? I thought black would play rook g6, and then I didn't want to look any further. But okay, rook a4, rook g5 check. Rook g6. Now you're saying rook takes g6 is forced. Oh, you got back rank mates on me again. I wanted to show you rook c8 or something. Ah! Okay, I see
Okay,
what you're doing.
that looks a little computery to me. But by the way, Queen H5, it's not just Rook A4, but there's the Rook G6 question. There's a lot of different questions. Even F6, it's or not. Don't do F6, but yeah, there's too many. I think Queen H5 is too many
Well, I had
questions.
queen
That's why
h5, rook g6, and I don't know what I'm doing.
you don't know what you're doing. Yeah. Um. So so D5 is going to get played here.
Shanklin's looking deep. I don't know if this position's so obvious. So d5 is Jesse's suggestion. What other moves could the Shank look at? Is there anything else conceivable here? You just want to know the endgame eval. Let me put it on the board. Endgame eval. White's worse, but it's a draw.
Hayden says D5 is putrid.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, because the white king is going to kind of stink, Black's going to play like rook a1, shunt him to h2. Black's going to be a little bit better, play king f7, king e6, but enough pawns will trade that Black has no pawn on this board to win the game with. Yeah. Okay, candidate moves for Sam. We got rook e5 suggested. On the other board, they say the Russian school of chess is getting hammered by the Uzbek school.
Nordebek Jr., man, yeah, he might be he's the other one that could turn into somebody that I might be like, maybe he's not a rando in the event.
Yeah, Noterbeck Jr., huh? They're only at move 22, Jesse. Whatever they are at, they're at hectic time trouble. Oh, is this a Najdorf again? Noterbeck Jr. has played this earlier in this tournament. No, he played something else today. D4, same-ish King's Indian. With just the king going through the center. Dang.
And if he makes it, does he become Nordebek Senior? If he makes it,
he's like 10 rating points away. No, no, it's Sindarov who's 10 points away from passing Abdusattorov.
Oh, we got G3 on the board. Oh no, Sam. Oh no.
Oh, he's trying to rage him. Oh, I'm sorry, Jesse. I know it's my fault, this move.
Now, by the way, Sam, like, he's a gambler, dude. He is a gambler. We've seen this before. All right, HG3. So we had a couple crazy ideas. I think, okay, so to summarize, if FG Queen F6 looks disastrous to me for white, if Rook G5, Queen G5, Rook G3, I would say black is the one who is better. And then on Rook G3, which I guess would be my thought of black's and white's intention here, then it's a little hard to, it's not necessarily clear to evaluate. So Rook G3, good, no madness. I get a minor, I'm a GM today.
And a sigh of relief because you just didn't want to see those other moves.
I didn't want to see those other moves. Okay. And what's cool about this position is that it is true that this is very, oh, dude played F6 pretty quickly. I thought it was a little bit of a hard choice, but he's saying it's not a hard choice.
What does Shanky want?
Well, he wants to be active. He wants to be a happy man.
No,
Also,
I think he's going to play Queen H5 and sack a rook next move.
Okay. He could also play Rook G4.
Okay.
And that seems to necessitate Queen F3.
Okay, so Rook G4 with the idea of H4. H4 would be pretty strong, so Queen F3. But then what's he doing after
the queen doesn't have any other squares, bro.
No other squares? Okay, Queen F3, then what, though?
I could take it, and now my rook on G4 magically protects the D4 pawn.
You gotta magically X-ray and protect the A4 pawn, too.
I don't know, man.
No. He's gonna play Queen H5 and sack the rook. That's the only thing that makes any sense here.
That would be really intense.
Queen
Okay.
h5, rook a4, rook takes g5, pawn takes, rook takes. What's going on? Oh, just queen g5 and you resign. Pruess. Lost the goose.
The goose of the Pruess.
Rook a4. Okay, well, then h4. I don't know. h4. So, Jesse, I'm trying queen h5, rook a4, h4.
That queen takes g5 was a cold shower. I'll tell you that, right?
Yeah. That was the ambulance, too, right?
But how come? Oh, okay. We got fire snaps in here for maybe 5 minutes before he's got to go to school.
All right. The last good 5 minutes of the day. It's all downhill from here.
When do you get what day do you get chess club?
Thursdays.
Thursdays. Okay.
Thursdays. Oh, it's a long way away.
And then sometimes I coach on Fridays in the elementary team.
Oh yeah. Okay. I
All
didn't
right.
know that.
So basic question after h4 is rook a2, right? And now the point of h4 was not to play hg. We wish.
Right.
The point is just to sack on g5 without the cold shower.
Yeah.
So we go rook g5, fg, rook g5. Now, all's well that ends well if we end up checkmating. Here's an easy win for us. King f6, we go queen h6 check, then rook g7. Fini. Done. So,
And we could still take on g5, Mr. Bruce, because you still have to play hg.
I play hg, yeah. I'm willing.
And then hard exactly to eval that position, but I think we believe in black. And also he could have thrown in rook a1, rook a2 to get the same position. And in that case, he would have e3 at the end as a stinger.
Oof. That's a little bit of a stinger. That changes everything. Okay, let's try that again. h4. Rook a1. King g2, rook a2. Oof. Oof. Oh, that's stinging. 17, with the rook on a1, I also thought it was good for white. So if you're off, I'm off. But this version looks problematic. Right? We see the huge difference here. Queen g5, h g5, e3. Ay, ay, ay. What are we doing with our life now? You know, what are we doing with our life? No.
Okay, Mr. Pruess, I feel like you're obsessing over queen h5.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. There's other moves for white.
There's other moves.
And by the way, this g3 thing is typical Sam, where he is going into the mayhem. He's trying to be up on the clock in that mayhem. And there's other moves here for our champion.
Is there queen b3? Coming at things from an entirely different perspective. Rook g4 has been played.
Oh, Rook g4.
God.
Okay, I like this idea. Wait, Mr. Bruce. I think he has a different idea. So on queen f3, which is forced,
Yeah.
can I play queen c1?
That's what I'm hoping.
So queen c1 has two threats, queen c7 and rook takes g5. It might be a hell of a drug.
Okay, and so if black plays e3,
maybe e3 is your chance.
I suppose Sam could play fe, trying to maintain the madness. The safe move would be queen e3, fe3, rook a4, h4. Let's say white's not in danger of losing that endgame at least.
Right.
Baseline, probably a draw. Queen f3 played immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Shank. Do not trade on f3. Do not trade on f3. Do not trade on f3.
By the way, the trade on F3 looks mildly better for black. Like it
Yeah,
seems like a kind of position we should be able to hold as white, but
yeah.
it's definitely a little bit better. Let's call it
Maybe
nominally better for black.
maybe with the move d5, it's not like so awful.
Oh yeah, yeah. Queen F3, D5. So that's good move, Mr. Bruce. So that's the bailing move for
Because we
white.
basically hold that rook on d6 honest for a while.
So
And
let's just say this is nice for Sam because he can calculate Queen C1. He's got the time. He's not going to lose this game on time.
yeah.
So he can calculate Queen C1. If he doesn't like it, he can take and play D5.
All right, let's try queen c1, rook d4 next. Something hectic.
Well, let's just ask the basic question. Rook BG5.
Rook bg5. All right. Feels like black
That
should
that's a hell of a drug, dude.
take it, or there would be rook g7. So queen
That's a
g5.
hell of a drug. Well, at the minimum, I'm going to pick up your rook with a Queen G7.
At a minimum, wherever we go, king g7, take this, stopping rook d1 mate, and then just further raging. It's completely winning.
Yeah.
Okay, so queen c1. I'm going to say no on rook d4. That looked like a no.
Looks like a no.
That looked like a no. Okay, my other idea was to move the king here, Jesse, because white's threats are both checks. So maybe we could reposition this king somewhere less
You gotta
awful. King
Queen
h8.
C1 played. Oh, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, wait.
Okay, I'm saying king h8 is a candidate.
That's the rhyme. Okay, King H8 is a candidate. But you know what, Mr. Proust? Like, I got a lot of things after King H8, even the very basic Rook G3
Rook back to g3. I was just going to ask about that. Beautiful repetition, queen f4, but the situation
has changed after Queen F4, my friend.
changed.
Welcome to the dojo.
So that suggests queen h5 or queen e2. Let's start with e2 because the h5 has a certain miserable look to it.
Well, hold on, Mr. Proust. Don't get obsessed yet. So Queen C1, dude, this is exactly a Shanklin situation where Black has a real hard choice on his hands here.
Yeah.
So he's got all of these like weird king moves, which don't look plausible. We got to move, I guess.
E3.
E3 was played.
He dreams of bailing.
He dreams of bailing, right?
Dreams of bailing. Ay, ay, ay. And I didn't even check for sure that Shanklin couldn't go queen c7, d6. I imagine Esipenko thinks he did, but he spent a minute on this move, 10 seconds on the previous move. I mean,
All right, so let's first check Queen C7. So Queen C7.
Two taking battle.
Hold,
Okay.
hold on. He's trying to the taking battle, Mr. Firesnap, is he wants us to take so to block the pressure on G5. So let's just look. Queen C7, first check would be King G6, I guess.
no, because
King
king
G6,
g6,
we don't want-
we take on
Yep.
g5 and we rage.
Yeah. With rage. Okay.
This guy's got to get
All
out
right.
of check. He's got to get himself out of check.
Rook H.
Okay, hold on. So Queen D6. And now the question is
Where did you go with the king? h8?
H8, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
H4.
Now, actually, a problem with King H8
Yeah.
is now there's no perpetual when I go to the H3 stuff because on Queen H2, there's that perpetual thing normally on Queen H2, but now now it's a pin to the king.
Huh?
So so Queen D6, imagine Queen F2, King F1, King H1, Queen F1. Oh, we just have King H2 there and it's completely done. Sorry.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. You're saying this
Yeah.
like theme where you go rook g1, queen
Yeah,
h3,
yeah.
queen h2.
But
Sorry.
that wasn't even necessary.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll be the case with any h-file square. But yeah, I think the idea is just you go king h2, your queen's on the diagonal when it takes the rook, right? And then queen f2, rook g2, and simple.
Okay, here's the basic question, Mr. Bruce. How about EF2 check,
Yeah.
King F1?
Hang on. King f1 maybe.
Oh, but then I just have Queen H3 of Rook D2.
Okay, king f1, rook a4.
Okay, let's try rook a4. There's a lot of different things to look at now.
Now queen f8 to f7 looks good. No, there's king h6.
King
Covering
h6. You're right.
h5,
I haven't
yeah.
figured it out yet.
Just take that free coconut.
Okay, let me try something else. No, not clear, not clear, not clear. Insanity. Insanity.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, so it's ef2 check. King f1, rook a4.
He's cooked after rook a1, right?
Well, it's white's move, my friend, and we have at least a draw with queen f8, f7. We might have more. That's what we're dreaming about.
And then you push and then rook h. What did you think about?
Wow, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah.
Wow, this is some spicy sauce. Okay, so
Yeah. Okay.
so
We are
if
tired,
that's
guys.
true, then it seems like this might be a successful bail. Because if fe, then rook a4 seems like enough play for black. And queen e3 also seems like that's going to be enough for black to hold. Sam. Sam, what do we got here, man? This is really intense.
Yeah.
Woo!
Okay, what happens after pawn takes e3, Jesse?
Okay, I was thinking that rook a4, black is going to have enough juice.
Come into a1 quickly. Hectic for us. Okay. Is there a clear threat yet?
Let my dude.
And black has other moves besides rook a4, actually,
Yeah.
but rook a4 just seems principled. First question.
Right, I suppose there's also queen h3, right?
Yeah.
Which looks fine as well. Queen takes e3 played, so it's going to be pretty close to equal here. Man,
right, well,
Estepenko
let's just see.
calculated that in 1 minute?
Well, first of all, he didn't have that much time. And second of all, like if he didn't have e3, I think it's gone. All right, rook a4. All right, this feels... Well, isn't... Okay, the question would be, is Sam the one with a nominal advantage after h4?
I mean, if it's nominal, it probably doesn't matter too much. The real question is, does anyone have any real threat to win here?
Well, if I win, let's just put it this way. If I win the pawn on g5,
Yeah.
then obviously I have the connectors.
Movies. Movies. We have movies.
We have movies.
H4 got
played.
played. They've got 3 moves to make till time control, so I was wrong about them being low on time. They like handled the whole complicated phase in seconds. Just unbelievable. Unbelievable the speed of calculation of these two players.
And Firesnap points out that Sam has got 607, 67 for his clock there. I think rook e6, David, would be my first guess as a move for black. Looks a little bit annoying. Intending hg, rook takes e3,
Yep.
aiming for a drawski.
Yep. Trade off that pawn and your work is done.
If king f2, I'm assuming like rook a2, king f3, rook a3.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like my work is done, as Mr. Pruess says.
Yeah.
Whew.
If I wanted to keep the game going, I could try rook e4 there.
But then okay, I guess.
You take
All
on
right.
h4. I imagine I take on b6, and should still be a draw.
Easy draw, yeah.
We play a few
King
more
G6.
moves. Let's see what else. Rook e6. Can I go rook b3, and you can go rook a5 or king g6? You don't even care what.
No, I don't even care at that point.
Just don't care. So it's a draw. It looks like.
Yeah.
Probably.
We're using AI to tell chess players what they should do next in chess now.
What do you mean, bud?
The video up there.
Yeah, rook e6 looking pretty dead. Once the e pawn goes, every scenario is a draw, so it doesn't matter if you win all three black pawns.
Blah, 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 blah.
King f2.
Well, Mr.
rook
Pruess, let's
e2.
go take a quick look at the other games then. I think our assumption is right, but we'll come back and maybe we're wrong about it, but it looks like it's going to be Eldrowski.
Okay.
That was a hell of a game, bud.
Oh, that got so crazy intense there.
On the checkmate game.
All right, Sindarov and Martinez are on move 25. Yakubayev and Donchenko are at move 27, with the king still in the middle of the board. I don't know where to start. Maybe we'll start with Abdu Jr., as Jesse called him. He's threatening queen c5. He's saying that my king might be in the middle of the board, but it's move 27. You haven't developed your minors yet.
Whoa, what a position.
His pawn structure is better.
Are they playing a tiebreak?
No. This is the next round, so this is round one of the next round.
But was this a 10-10 game?
No, but this is a real game. We've been here for hours just doing one game. This looks, I just optically will say it looks incredibly nasty for black.
Yeah, I agree. Dramatically bad position for black here. Basically, I saw knight d7, bishop takes a6. And, well, I can put that on the board, folks. Knight d7 to defend c5, bishop a6. And if rook b6, bishop c8 with an extra piece. No shenanigans. No queen d2, rook b2 dreams. So,
You got to go, bud. Here. Say bye to Fire Snap, everybody.
Bye, Mr. Pruess.
Oh, let me tell you one quick story about Fire Snap. So there's this kid, dude, who doesn't believe that he's hanging out with me doing the stream, and it was like, you don't even know how tall he is, yada yada. Ooh, B4 on the board. Holy moly. Take that. Dang, B4, bro, from Norderbeck Jr. And so then he was like trying to find the video of us on his school computer to prove it to dude. And guess what, Mr. Pruess? We're banned on his school computer because we sometimes say things like "D's nuts."
There's no we about it, Jesse. There's no we about it. So,
in any case, that's the thing. I didn't realize that.
So professional educators don't think your kids should even be allowed to hear you talk, basically. That's where you're at in life.
Well, that was like YouTube's AI, I guess, or the school's AI. I don't know.
Ay. Okay, so here's the deal. Black said I can't defend c5, so they got rid of the pawn on b6 before it queened. Idea was queen c5 and the extremely grovelly queen d8. Okay, of course black's getting raged in that position. White can play bishop c4, and next move is rook h1. Whatever. But Noterberg said... He said no. It's got to be worse than that. He plays b4, and the point is rook b4, queen c5. Now there's no defending those dogs. So he's saying he's going to put that pawn on c5. Oh no. Oh no. I am using the word rage a lot today, Yellow. Something about the game. Something about the games. So yeah. Long ago, Yellow, I was once addicted to rage. And maybe this is showing what they say about addicts, right? You're never a former addict. You're always still an addict. So I'm still addicted to rage. I think Homer Simpson said it was what makes America great.
Oh, man. Oh, here's an interesting fact about Nordbeck Jr., dude.
Okay.
So, first of all, he has an older sister who's playing chess, but so he had a variety of female opponents, four of them over the years, and he wouldn't shake their hands for religious reasons, dude.
Yeah, I know about that.
That's
Including
pretty intense.
Prague's sister.
Well, not only that, but he then lost to her, dude.
Mm-hmm.
He lost to Vaishali. So, anyways, an amazing thing.
Yeah. They filmed a whole video where he got together with the Pragnananda clan, Vaishali and Prague and others, right? I think Chess Base India recorded the whole thing. He went and explained, he's not trying to disrespect or anything.
Right.
They talked it out. I think everybody was cool in the end. But he must be like a hardcore of some kind of religion to think that where he thinks men aren't allowed to touch women unless they're married, I think.
Yeah.
So no handshakes, no fist bumps, and stuff like that.
So, okay, so he is 23, and one of the things that Mr. Pruess likes to talk about is how fast, like when you gauge if somebody's got a chance, is how fast they reach 2,700. It seems like he's reaching 2,700 now. So later than, you would like the Fabis of the world and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But he's got good progress.
Yeah, is he?
And I'm just wondering, like,
is he 20? Is he 22 or 23 now, Yakubayev?
I don't know. It just says he was born in 2002, so I'm assuming 23.
23 then, pretty much, yeah. So, yeah, if he wins this game, this could be the game where he crosses it today, right?
Right? I'll look it up. And we followed an amazing game. Remember when he had black against Fallujah in that fried liver attack?
Yeah.
That was really fun and
at the
intense.
Grand Swiss. No, this guy's been coming up pretty well. He was high rated on chess.com in quick disciplines already as a teenager. And he's won a super tournament, right? I think he won the maybe they call it the Chennai Grandmasters or Chennai something or other.
Yeah, he's at 2697. So if he wins this, he's going over 20. He's being the 2700 club.
Yeah. And he could be a candidate, right? All these folks are getting so close to the candidates right now because after this match, there will be 4 players with 3 candidate spots. So this is like the big thing. If you win this match here in the quarterfinals, then your odds are better than 50% of going to the candidates.
Well, let's just say you got an odds of 75%, right?
Ish. I mean, depending if someone else is a favorite. Like Eric Geisy might have better chances than the other players, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, Sam's game ended in a draw, so we were not wrong. After h4, rook a5 was played, and then rook b3 draw. And the line here on rook a5 was rook takes, pawn takes. Somebody in chat pointed this out, hg, fg. So credit to somebody who pointed out that rook takes g5 check, rook g6 is winning for black.
Oh, that's gold, dude. That's gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Credit to Mr. Pizza on that one. I don't think you were here anymore the other day, Jesse, when my daughter came in and Mr. Pizza made some other good suggestion. I said, oh yeah, like great idea. Blah, 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 variation from Mr. Pizza. And my daughter just lost it. she was so excited. There's a Mr. Pizza here. You know, my 3-year-old. She was really excited. But
Yeah, Drittman. If he makes it, Drittman, he's going to be the Nordbeck senior. Yeah, I guess. Well, Sam, David, let's check the computer in a couple key positions in this game.
okay, so rook b3 retreated by Sam, avoiding that king and pawn ending, and then with the draw offer, and basically, yeah, there's nothing going on here. So Jesse wants a computer check of our work. We're going to back it all the way up to move 12 in the opening.
Ooh.
Rook takes c3.
Wait. Let's go to move 6.
Move 6. Okay.
So the key question on move 6 to me was, because white has not played knight f3, should you in fact play bishop h4? And the computer agrees with me, though it's a kind of a hectic variation.
Makes sense.
Okay. So anyway, Sam plays the safe move, bishop f6, transposing, or seemingly transposing back.
Yeah, into some basic lines that are fine for black.
And amazingly, on move 10, well, it's giving rook c1 as the second best move at plus 0.11. So it is a thing. Okay. Rook d8, the computer doesn't like much. Knight f4. Bishop c3, the computer doesn't like. Rook c3, the computer says after knight e7, white's got a small tug. Okay, so knight e7. The computer has all kinds of weird moves. Bishop d3 is the human move. c6, of course, the human move.
Rook c7, knight c6 was a slight disadvantage for white.
But yeah, so we called that correct.
White did have the candidate move there, bishop a6, which we did not see.
Yeah, we didn't look at that.
That's a hell of a move. Oh no, now it's saying bishop a6 is equal. Nope, it changed its mind. Back to my queen a3. Okay, anyway, bishop d3. Let's see the game. c6.
Castles.
Suggesting rook b3 maybe to prevent.
Oh, and by the way, I'm a GM today because knight f5 was fine, but it liked bishop f5 better.
Yeah.
And then the computer wants, interesting actually. So after knight f5, it wants to take on f5 and play against the bad bishop.
Mm-hmm.
It's saying that white's a little bit better. And I think that's a very instructive thing, because the thing to recognize about that is to say, right, bishop f5 is an exclam positionally, because we're even though it's bishop versus knight and people like the bishop is fundamentally poor in these positions. Okay, so rook fc1. The computer says knight d6 equal. Queen d1. Kind of a weird move. Bishop f5. Bishop f1. And now it says the position is equal, though we both thought we would rather be black. All right, g5, frisky. Now it says knight d3. White's a little bit better. King g7.
That's funny, Jesse, different engines. Yeah. You know, mine says after g5, knight d3 that black's a little better.
Now mine's saying it's equal and that white should have played knight e5 instead of knight c5.
Okay.
But you're just using the ChessCom engine, right?
Yeah.
So that's weird.
It's the same one as you?
Yeah, I'm just using the ChessCom engine here. Okay, knight c5. Now it likes black and wanted g4, which no one was thinking about. All right, h5, a4. And it still wants g4. Yeah. So not h4, but g4.
Or rook e8. The longer it thinks, mine is starting to say rook e8 here.
Rook e8. Yeah, I'm seeing rook e8 too.
This was about as bad as we ever thought Sam's position was, and we gave him about minus 0.2, minus 0.3-ish around here, which is about what the computer's saying as well. Mm-hmm. So after h4, the computer
By the way, this g4 move is really interesting to me, David, because like normally you wouldn't, that's just the wrong color. You'd normally play h4. It's also not entirely clear what g4 is doing. Mm-hmm. Maybe actually the point of g4, David, is so that when I play h4, I get it. The point of g4 is to say when I play h4, you cannot play h3.
Right. And if you play g3, black still plays h4. So, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's clever.
Just makes sense.
So on h4, I was correct, David, h3. You do not allow h3, David.
My
You do
computer
not
doesn't seem
allow
to care
h3.
whether or not you play h3. It says you could also play a5, a6, rook b3.
It's true. It's also saying a5.
Yeah.
Okay, so h3, a5. And now it is not looking at b4. It's talking about rook b3,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't really know if I understand rook b3. Yeah, it's got some weird thing that I don't understand after rook b3.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, so b4.
b4. And this is the moment where I felt like it's hectic and risky for white until you recapture on
Mhm.
b4, right? But as Stepenko didn't find anything magical here, the engine's saying that black's a touch better with knight c4, maybe?
Knight c4 is a weird move. I thought about it, but I didn't know. Well, wait a second. There was a reason. Why didn't I just? It's a weird move. Knight c4, rook b4, and then it's got all kinds of weird ideas like rook a5 here.
So I guess part
Okay.
of the idea is the knight on d3 doesn't have a good move to allow bishop takes c4. So black just acts like they've got an outpost. And then white's, got a little bit of suffering to do.
Now, Skabix, if you could help me out there. So let me just understand. You're saying the computer matters, but it's being run through ChessCom. So why would our
They're
computer
using your
matter?
computer's processor to run it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So I'm gonna guess I have the more powerful computer.
Yeah, you probably do.
Yes.
Mine is a piece of crud.
That's interesting. Okay. So it didn't like bishop d3. Now it says white's a little bit better. Knight e4, bishop takes e4. Computer gives that an exclam, seemed forced to me. Rook
Wait,
b4.
the computer gave bishop takes e4 and exclam? Oh, yeah, mine does
Yeah,
too.
yeah, it's
Exclam
great.
mark.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't know. It loves to do this stuff. So c5,
Yeah.
and now rook b5. It says rook b c4 is equal.
Yeah. It says
C d4, and now
everything is
queen
dead equal
h5.
here.
Let's look at it. So c d4, queen h5, rook a5. Holy moly. Rook c6, queen c6,
Queen c6 only move.
queen g5, king h7. That's a move we didn't think
Now it's
about.
saying queen g6 is also equal, though.
Okay.
Queen g6, queen d8, and now d3,
D-E3.
rook b6, queen f5 loses, queen g5, offering the queen trade, holding.
Hmm.
We said
Amazing.
black needed to trade queens in one move or lose. Wow.
Wow. All right. So ED4. So, okay. What did we miss? Let's just be clear about our own analysis here. So we missed, because we had definitely looked at rook c6, queen c6, queen g5.
Right, it's also saying king h7. So what do we have here? Queen h4 check, king g6, queen d8,
I,
queen c1. I had all this. King h2, d3. And then we said b6 was hanging. So the computer says in this position, now play rook b5, a b5, d3. And this was the second thing that somebody had suggested, Jesse, when you walked away for a minute. And you came back and I didn't get a chance to list this to you. But somebody from chat suggested this as well, saying white would basically have to take a perpetual in the face of the d pawn.
Fair, yeah. So queen f4, rook c3. Uh, on rook a c8, the computer finds queen c2, says equal. Says rook d6 is also dead equal. Says g3 is the best move. Dude, so I'm having the same experience that I had with the Dubov game, both of the Dubov classical games, where it after the game, it really looks like both players are playing like really close to the exact best move, you know?
Yeah.
Like incredibly tight. Like F6 is the best move. Rook G4,
Every
best move.
move perfection.
Yeah, Queen C1, best move.
Now it says, in addition to E3, King F8 is the other move that doesn't lose here.
And it's saying E3 and it's just equal because you got
It's
to take
just
with the
equal.
queen.
Dang.
Amazing, man. Amazing.
Let's see. Queen C7, King H8 or H6.
Hmm.
So let's look at the move we looked at. And then if Queen takes D6, Rook C8 even is a draw. What the hell? Anything is a draw. EF2, Queen F2, Rook C8. Man. They calculated those lines so quickly, Jesse. Like that phase of the game.
Hmm.
Not only did they play the top engine move every single move, basically, but they played it in like maybe 10 minutes total from move 20 to 40. I cannot believe that.
So, I don't really dig those accuracy scores, but for this game, it's giving 97.9 for white and 98.3% for black. It's just like,
Unbelievable.
yeah. And yesterday or something, it was like 99% for one of those games was 99% for Sam. And I was like,
In
what
the
the?
rapid chess, right, Jesse?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was unbelievable how well he played yesterday.
I don't know if you want a wife swap with David, dude. Careful what you ask for, man, with the head of dog. Why does he want a wife swap? What's going on there? I don't get it.
I have no idea. It really came out of nowhere. All right, so we'll go to the two games that are live now, folks. But Shanklin and Esipenko playing at an incredible level. And yes, Jesse will label them as randos. But I think he will also say that they're playing very well at this tournament.
Yeah. Osama, yeah, it's just incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, we should say that Nordebek Senior or Junior is crushing Donchenko, dude.
Okay.
And then with Yospem, what do I think? Maybe white's a little bit better.
You see those pawns on C6 and D6?
Yeah. Goodbye.
Oh, God. I mean, was Queen G5 mate? I don't know, but he played check. Oh, goodness. Well. Well. Looks like he's going to have to take with a piece here.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
So this is completely hopeless. Like, I get 99% that Noterbeck wins this and crosses 2,700 today.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we got in the Yospem game, I would say Yospem's a little worse.
He is, let's see, equal on material. I hadn't even counted the pawns correctly first time around here. I don't know who's better or worse.
Well, okay, so I was assuming 95, but I guess knight c5 might also be playable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess white must be a touch better.
And then maybe the key line is like king c7, g3, and on king b6.
Sorry, are you playing knight c5 or knight e5 to start?
I was playing knight e5, but I think knight c5 might be interesting.
Okay, so knight e5, king c7, g3.
Something like that.
King b6.
And now king e3.
King e3. King c5.
King c5, you got to at least wonder about knight d7, though, Mr. Pruess. I don't know.
I didn't wonder. I was just going to play king b4.
He's not going to wonder. All right. He's not going to wonder. His name's not a wonder.
Nope.
All right, so I'll just play king d4. Oh, wait. Sorry, I don't see what you're doing. This game, by the way, very hectic time pressure. We should expect mistakes. Sindavar is tanking, and I get right. It's a choice. You got c5, e5. There's definitely some calculation going on.
5 minutes to go. He plays knight e5.
I have a GM today.
5 moves to go. He spent 2/3 of his time on that move. So I'm sure that means knight c5 was an option, right? If he had no options, he wouldn't have put all his time into that.
King c7
King
play.
c7 quickly from Alcantara.
Now, I guess g4 is a frisky move that I don't believe in, but I don't believe in g4. But okay, g3, king b6, king e3, king c5. These are the questions that obsess us here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe I have absolutely nothing. I don't know.
These are the questions that I need to be answered.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. When you play 95, it's easy to naturally play it for me, but I need an answer when I have after king c7. And he's thinking again.
Getting low on time.
Mm-hmm.
And he spent 4 minutes on 95. Yaspam just quickly says, well, my king's got to go.
Yeah.
And then Sindarov's thinking again for another minute, so it looks like he doesn't know what to do with himself here. That's a heavy, heavy moment, folks. And some of these positions might be 0.00 and like, quote unquote, nothing's happening from a certain perspective. And then you get into the game, the players are sweating bullets. They don't know if it's 0.0. They know that any move could cost them the candidates. So the intensity is super high. What's my opinion on too many sub 2700 qualifying for the candidates? It makes the candidates a much less good tournament, and they shouldn't use the World Cup to qualify players because that's what does it.
Okay, so this is his conception. He's saying, look, I'll give you the g2 pawn, but I will get the c4
But then
pawn.
I get my king.
And I'll get the king active.
Yeah. He may or may not get the c4 pawn. The key thing he is getting is the king.
I think I'm going to get the c4 pawn.
Oh, okay. Let's just play a move. Bishop g2, king d4,
all right.
bishop
king
f1.
D4, bishop f1. King c5.
Okay.
I don't know. I missed the move.
Yeah, just trying something. Knight e4 check.
The bishop g2, king d4 on the board. Yeah, so let's stick with it. Knight e4. I'm going to assume I got to take that thing. Fe.
Yeah.
And now knight c4.
Bishop f1 played, by the way, and king c5. So all these moves being played. So now what would you play here after Fe?
Knight c4.
Knight c4.
Looks a little bit unpleasant.
Yeah, that's true. Knight c4. Okay. That's a move. Okay, let me be careful. Draw agreed.
Draw agreed.
Even more careful to be.
He was just like, I've had enough. I've had enough. I don't want to think about it. That's a draw agreed that Mr. Pruess wouldn't like, because that's a draw where both sides feel mutual tension and they're like, I can't take it anymore.
Maybe it was just this, Jesse. Knight b6 check, king back to b4, d4, knight d6. Maybe it was just that. Of course, I would repeat positions. I wouldn't just see that a repetition was possible. I'm not excusing it or saying you're wrong about me. I'm just trying to understand what happened.
You could have also played king b4 there. Yeah, okay. Okay, well, I think we're wrapping up for today then, because it looks like We got this one draw.
Oh, I gotta update some scores here. 0.5, 0.5. The tension is very high, folks. We can't assume draws tomorrow in game 2 of these matches. We saw in round 5 that we got 7 draws in the first game, and then in the second game, people cracked. People cracked on day 2, which will be tomorrow for this round. The Shanky game was very dramatic. It's just those guys were amazing. Amazing. I'm going to stick around to watch Noterbeck make 2,700. But Jesse, feel free to do whatever you feel like doing.
I'm out of here. I will be back tomorrow. And I just want to say, in terms of this World Championship, because remember, I'm a fan in 2 ways. I like the stories, especially of Shankland and Jospem. But also in terms of the trying to get the best players into the candidates, let's just say what it's looking like is we're going to go to tie breaks again. And that's what's going to decide who gets in to the semifinals.
Yeah.
So not great for the fans from that perspective.
Right. I mean, Shanky's last 3 matches, even if Shanky made it somehow, right? His last 3 matches were all decided by rapid chess, not classical chess. It just doesn't make sense. You can't pick the candidates for the World Chess Championship with rapid chess. You could pick the candidates for the World Rapid Championship that way.
Mm-hmm. Check out this last move. Very nice.
Yeah.
Rook G6. Norderbeck Jr. is finishing the game in style.
Yeah, that's pretty much where you resign after a move like that. I mean, he's threatening mate in 1 on D8. Oh, the guy's going to play it out to the grim. End here. Wow. Queen D6, for example. Ugh. Nasty.
Okay, Mr. Pruess, I'm out of here. That was great, man. I'll see you tomorrow morning.
See you then.
All right, bye, everybody.
Okay, we're gonna go to the grim end, folks, because I mean, I've been wanting somebody to rage on somebody all day today, has been pointed out. I've been wanting to see some blood. We're not going to turn away the moment blood's being spilled here. Yeah, this German is not giving up, Rainbow Teddy. Rook takes G6 is where almost anybody resigns. Even in a team tournament, you resign on Rook takes G6 normally. Yeah, every language has diminutives, man, with head of dog. They all got them. In German, normally you add "hen" at the end of a name to make it a diminutive. That would be the typical thing. Yeah, you got it yourself. Brötchen, yeah, you know your stuff. Well, RKJ, it's not about whether or not the 2700s have a right to complain or not. You're asking us what we think, and we're complaining. And we're the ones complaining here. It's rarely done with male first names, as 17 says, but there's no real reason why it should be fine to do it with female names and not male names or whatever. I'm wondering about the final moves here. Let's look at the final moves here. They've made time control, so let's calculate a few things. So one idea here was knight d5 going direct, check here, and then there are some checks to follow, it seems, right? There's queen f3, queen e1. So I would kind of reject knight d5 there. I thought just moving the rook might make sense. You can go rook g8 and trade rooks, but your extra pieces felt most in a middle game. So I'm not pumped about, going out of my way to force that. I was thinking a move like rook g4 might be nice, just simply retreating the rook along the g file. I know it's not Hensien, yeah. I have heard Hensien Klein, of course. Okay, so it's not a male-female thing. It's just how different names sound, yeah. Alexander Hien definitely doesn't sound right. King d2 to prepare knight d5. Maybe black could take our rook if we left it there, right? We could try it. King d2, fg6, knight d5. Queen h7 maybe. I don't know about giving our rook back that quickly, right? So I think rook g4 is the move. Is knight d4 a problem? No. Because like rook g4, knight d4, king d3 is a-okay for white. No problems. Okay, we've got a move from Noterbeck. Rook g4. I won't make any Jesse-like claims about predicting the basic move of taking the rook and putting it on the one square where it's not attacked. That was a very simple move. Oh, did my camera get messed up by Zoom again? Thanks for telling me. We can also make this better here in this view. I was about to pull out my own bulletin here. Yeah. Yakuboyev so far in this tournament has needed one tiebreak and has won 3 other matches in regulation and had a bye in the first round. He hasn't faced anybody higher rated than him yet. His way has been paved by other people's upsets. So that's interesting as well. I mean, and Donchenko is also lower rated, so he could get all the way to the candidates basically without playing anybody higher rated than him. Donchenko did the heavy work for him, right? Donchenko eliminated Lake Wong Liem and Anish Giri. Who would he have next? Maybe next round Sindarov, I guess. Right, you could play Jospim or Sindarov, that's right. F6 played. Donchenko soldiers on. If Donchenko would resign, I could get a little bit of sleep, but I don't think that's in the cards. So let's think how we would do this for white. The rook is awkward. The bishop's not great. Maybe we need to move our king so the bishop on e2 can move. What if we moved the king here? No, queen b8's just been played. Okay, that's very conclusive. If here, he's got mate. And if here, I think he can now go here, here, check. Force the knight back. And then unpin to bring out the bishop. I think he's going for something pretty simple like that now. Okay, those moves get played. Knight's hanging, so have to retreat it. Full extra piece. And we get the resignation, folks. All right. All right. That's the beginning of the quarterfinals. Things looking difficult for Alexander Donchenko, but of course, hope is not lost. You always get to win back in the second game. It happens. Often to make it through a tournament like this, you have to win some must-win games while down in a match, whether it be in a rapid tiebreak, a blitz tiebreak, or the main classical. It happens. So he's still got hope for tomorrow. He's got the white pieces, and we'll have like a battling game on our hands. And then, of course, Esipenko, Erigaisi, and Yospam will each have a chance to knock out their opponents with white tomorrow. We'll probably see at least one tiebreak the day after. So we're still in 2-game matches. We are here in the quarterfinals. 8 players left vying for 3 spots. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on Chess Dojo for this coverage. If you like our coverage and want it to continue, consider becoming a patron through Patreon and supporting us doing all these free shows. And no, man with head of dog. If Sam made it to the World Championship Candidates Tournament, he would consider that a bigger accomplishment than winning the U.S. Championships. So have a great night or day or whatever it is for you folks. And we'll see you again tomorrow for round 2. Peace.